This is DPS Podcast, that's Damage Per Second Podcast, episode 196. We are back off of a very short hiatus. I had some medical stuff to deal with. I'm good, don't worry about me. But we're back. We did skip last week, so we apologize for that. But we are back on episode 196. And before we get into the intros, I did want to address something that unfortunately occurred to a member of our community. We unfortunately had to experience the passing of Big Mike. And if you aren't aware, Big Mike of the platform live podcast and a member of the DPS community, always been a cool dude, known him for a few years now. A real gamer, you know, not someone who was just here for clout or attention, was just down for gaming. Unfortunately, Big Mike passed away yesterday, and I regret to be the bearer of bad news for those who weren't aware of that, but that did occur. And our condolences to his friends and family, first and foremost. But in my typical fashion, I do like to celebrate life in these kind of situations. And so I had a story that I want to talk about Big Mike. One of my fondest memories of this goofball of a guy. We were in, shout out to Eric Cuts for the win. Her and her troubleshooters were talking smack in Fortnite. But actually, I think it was probably more Big Mike talking smack in Fortnite. And they wanted to have a little competition going. It would be their team and our team. And whoever had the most victories, whoever had the most wins at the end of, like, I think it was like 2 hours or something, we were live streaming it, would be the winner. And so, you know, Mike is talking, he's talking big smack. I mean, he's saying all this stuff is me. Forte was there. Shout out to Cat Daddy Lurk. Cat Daddy Lurk was on the team. And we not really talking smack, but Mike is just like, oh, you guys, we're going to destroy you guys. You guys got notches. He was big. And you know what? Let me say it in Mike's voice. You guys are going down, man. You guys are, you know, his voice is like real high pitched. So he was going in, and I was just like, okay, man. Mike about to carry. He about to carry the whole squad. Wrong. Mike may have had one kill the entire 2 hours. It was us carrying Mike, and we didn't just lose. We lost in dramatic fashion. It was pretty bad. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, we didn't get a single win the entire time. And Erica, shout out to Erica, and them. They definitely had like at least 2 wins. It wasn't close, right? The entire time, Mike is still talking trash, though. Like, still talking trash the entire time. And in the moment, I was annoyed, but afterwards, I just couldn't stop laughing, because that was him. You know, he may not have been the best, like, in first person shooting or third person shooting, or really in any kind of like competitive game, but it wasn't really about that. Like, if you check out the platform podcast and Mike was on, it was always a good time. You know, shout out to Dan, shout out to the whole platform crew. They put on a good show on Saturdays in the afternoons, and Mike was always just humorous, you know, always like eager to let people make fun of him, but kind of like laugh with him at the same time. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he will be missed. He will absolutely be missed. So rest in peace, Mike. Forte, anything you want to say on this before we move on?
Yeah. I remember, and once you started talking about that, I remembered it. I was like, God dang it, Mike! Stop dying first. You can't die first if you're gonna be talking junk. You can't die first. I'm sorry. I'm just excited, and that was the cool thing about Big Mike. You know, it was no matter who he was playing with, like it was all about just having fun. It wasn't about anything else. It was always about gaming. You know, no matter his struggle or whatever he was struggling with or how good he was at the game, at the end of that time it was just gaming, and it was fun, and it was like that breath of fresh air that you don't see too often when you're playing with other people, because like you said, me and SloMo, especially when it comes to shooters, we're very competitive, especially when we're playing against people we know. So you can definitely probably just hear you probably can see the irritation or hear it in our voices during the stream. But like you said, once it was over, it was just like, man, that's my man. It's cool. And he was super he was one of those people that was always supporting, supported us whenever I would go on a myriad of different shows. He would be like one of the people in the chat, like on Crossfire. He always say, yo, shout out to Forte for being here. Or wherever I was at, if he just happened to catch the show live that I was doing, like IOP, I ain't nobody special. I'm just on IOP helping out, but he'll make he'll do a super chat just to shout out that I'm on the show and stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. So he's always been a good friend to me. I always loved his energy and stuff he brought. He would like DM me randomly about things at my job or prices and stuff that if he wanted to get rid of. He was like one of those consistent people that I would always have like back and forth conversations about, make sure you do this before it, goes on sale or something like that. So there's a lot of people like that in the community I used to help, but he stands out the most because he was always super consistent with it. Just like I know with this whole PlayStation 30th anniversary, he probably would have DM'd me today and been like, bro, are y'all going to carry that? I would have been like, no, bro, that's going to be PlayStation exclusive on Direct. And we would have been laughing about that. So I'm going to miss him. There's been a lot of people that we have lost in this community over the years, and this is probably one of the closest ones that I've had, because when we did have these situations, it was people that I kind of knew. I really didn't have that much, back and forth with, but kind of hits a little bit, home when, with somebody that you consistently had, conversations with. It's like up there with Dizzy for me. So
yeah.
I really appreciate what rest in peace, Dizzy. I really appreciate his energy, and I hope there's more people that can bring the type of energy, because that's what we kind of need in this gaming community. And with that, I hope his family and everybody finds peace in all this. We know we're always praying for it. And, whenever you get a chance, make sure you give your condolences, because, that was a genuine person with genuine feelings, and he did everything the right way, especially when it came to like communicating and talking to people about gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to say, I know the Platform podcast is doing a tribute show to him on Saturday. They go live on their Twitch channel, and I think they upload it to YouTube afterwards. So if you want to just pop in and say what's up to them, go to their Twitch channel, Platform Live. I think they go live. I feel like it's not a set time, but it might be like 2 or 3 p.m. on Saturdays. But just check them out and give respect to Mike. Look out for your friends. You never know. I don't know the details of Mike's passing, but you never know what someone's going through. You never know what someone might be struggling with, or whatever, or just need encouragement, need a little push to maybe treat themselves a little better health-wise. You never know what's going on. And if you ever feel like you question it or wonder, just say something. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up feeling like, oh man, I could have said something here or there, or maybe I could have helped out, and maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, but at least you wouldn't have those thoughts in your mind, you know. Always look out for your friends and family, and just, you know, cherish every moment you got with them. So, all right, that all that out of the way. Let's get into this show. We got a guest here. I feel like now Gamelogiq might have the title for the most guest spots on DPS now.
He fight with Ramon.
Yeah, Ramon, Eric, and Di are like up there, but I feel like Gamelogiq, Mr. Gamelogiq. I feel like Mr. Gamelogiq is within spitting distance of those titles. How's it going, Logic, man? How you been, man?
Good, man. Good. I do consider myself a panel member. I don't consider myself a guest when I come on here.
Well, you definitely got a key to the house. You know, you can, you know, put your feet up on the coffee table.
You just can't go in the refrigerator yet.
But I mean, look, like, you got a key to the house. You can go in the fridge.
No,
I mean, at that point,
you gotta
you
buy
just walk
food first.
Well, that's true. You gotta buy some groceries.
You gotta purchase groceries first in order to go in the refrigerator. There are keys to every part of this house.
Hold on, man. Let me see.
Now the bathroom is fine because we don't, you know, we support good hygiene.
Forte, I have my own key. I'm a mod in the chat.
That don't mean you got a key to the refrigerator.
Wait, so y'all gave me a key to the front door, but you still got security on the fridge?
Oh man, we got child locks on the fridge. Is that what we doing? Logic, what you been up to, man?
You got a key to the gate. You don't got a key to the door.
Logic, Rodimus says turn your mic up. If it's up enough already, I might be able to turn you up on my side in Discord if you
Yeah, I'm up.
Okay, let me
I ate some of the.
Not up in Discord though. Let me.
No, you're fine. I ate some of the grapes you bought the other day, so I appreciate that.
Logic, what you been up to, man?
Nothing much, man. You know, living the dream.
All right. Any games you've been playing lately?
Not anything new. I've been playing Call of Duty. I've been playing World of Warships. Haven't actually had
got you.
Yeah. I
haven't Those ads got you.
I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I will say I broke my HTC Vive out of the utility room and hooked it up to my PC with the 7950X and the 3080 Ti. So went through checkout with it and everything this afternoon. Works great. So I already have Microsoft Flight Simulator on that PC, and I'll be pulling down some other VR games that I have, and probably get a couple new ones. Steam has their simulation sale going on right now too, and obviously I'm a big sim fan, so I've got to pull a couple games there too from Steam.
How long did it take you to hook up all those sensors?
You know what? So this is interesting because there's a lot of stuff going on with me just in terms of kind of personal reflection and some things I'm changing based on age, and I went big into VR like in 2016. So I had the Vive, I had the Oculus Rift S, and I had the Acer. I can't remember what the model number was of the headset, a WMR headset. And it's kind of funny. So across those three headsets, I used to be like, this freaking Vive is a total pain in the butt every time I have to set it up. I think a lot of that was like self-fulfilling prophecy from me telling myself that, because they put it in the instructions on the box. You're supposed to put the things up 6.5 feet off the floor. You're supposed to angle them down. Blah blah blah. I have these things. I have one sitting on top of my hard drive array disk enclosure that I have over on that PC that has like 8 terabyte drives in it, and then I have another one sitting on like the corner of the desk. The thing works completely fine, bro. I used to drive myself nut, like putting these things on stands, setting them up in like different corners of the room. I have these things like within, 5-6 feet of each other, just sitting on the desk, really not mounted and all that stuff, and the thing works fine. I also did not. I used to always insist on installing the Vive port software, and with the Oculus, I used to always insist on installing the Oculus software. I just installed Steam VR, and these things work perfectly, and they're 50% of the hassle that I went through whenever I would install Vive port.
What's the weirdest thing you ever set your sensors on?
This is the weirdest thing. So the way I used to set them up is I have key lights, and umbrella lights for live streaming and podcasting, and so I used to just take the lights off those stands and put the sensors on the stands.
Oh, when I had a Vive, I used to put when I just wanted to test something out, I had them on the front ones, sitting on top of cereal boxes. Because I had a lot of cereal. Having kids, my wife would have like 7 or 8 boxes of cereal that she would have like on top of the refrigerator. So I was trying to find the perfect height for one of them, because the one that would be off the desk, because my desk was already like 3 feet, so it was easy just to like stack it on my desk and still get the view that I needed to be. But the other one off the desk, because it was like out of, they give you a little sensor that tells you like the best range it should be at, and of course it was off my desk. So I was like, what the heck can I put this on? And we had already thrown out all our boxes because we had already unpacked. So my daughter was down with me, and I was saying, she was like, well, how tall does it need to be? I was like, about this tall. She said, you ever thought about using boxes? I was like, we don't have any. She said, we got some cereal boxes upstairs. I was like, you're funny. And then I was like, that might work temporarily. So she went upstairs and got like 9 boxes of cereal that sits on top of our refrigerator. And I used those to test Half-Life Alyx off on for the first time. It was funny.
Forte, what you been up to, man? What you been doing?
I was sick most of this week. Like a couple of times when you was calling me, like the day you called me to like see if you could talk longer than 5 minutes. I couldn't. I probably you did a good job that day, but that day you literally woke me up, and I was like, just the fact that you were talking, I was like, okay, I have to hear this out. I can't say I'll call you back, because the fact that he called me, this is important. So I was listening to you. But I was like out of it, bro. Like I just haven't had like no energy. It was stupid. Because I've been going to, now that my daughter went back to school, my youngest, it's like I haven't adjusted my sleep schedule. I was still staying up to like 2:30 in the morning. So getting, sleeping, especially when you're older now, getting up at 7 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning to take her to school at 7. That don't work with your body anymore. So it was like, and then I wouldn't come home and go straight to sleep, because like when I see daylight outside, I'm kind of up at that point. But I was just like kind of killing myself when it came to sleep. So that's I did a lot of that. But I was playing about halfway through Space Marines 2. That game's phenomenal.
Yeah, I started that too. Shout out to Super G. He gifted me the game. Really dope thing for him to do. I started it. I got so many games to play though. I haven't gotten back to it though, but that I am definitely feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I play some co-op and stuff in it. It's really cool. I'm doing like a normal playthrough when I do solo, but we're doing the hardest difficulty in co-op.
Who was we?
One of my coworkers, he bought it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if you was going to buy, because last time I talked to you, you said you were on the fence, but I listened to your stream and you didn't buy it. And I was like, why is he playing this game? He said he wasn't going to buy it now. He said he's going to wait for a sale. And then I heard you say that somebody gifted it to you. So that's the only reason I didn't say, "Hey, SloMo, we're playing co-op," because I didn't know you were going to have it.
You ain't gotta. Yeah, I was just asking who you were playing
I already
with.
know where this was going. You could be like,
No.
Forte
That's not
playing games and not asking me if I want to play with him. I got the game and all this other stuff. I already know where this is going.
I am offended because that's not where I was going with this at all.
Sure.
I can interrupt and answer y'all one question real quick.
Yes.
So, have y'all seen Bad Boys 4?
Yes.
So, is this Reggie, the dude who came over to date the daughter that they did the skit on when he was at the door?
Yes.
Yeah, same guy. Yeah.
Yes, same guy.
I'm gonna have to watch this.
And he proved his worth in that movie. He proved his worth. I was like, this house, we was at the movies watching it, and when he pulled off that stuff, I was like, hey, this kid that came a long way from the chitty chitty bang bang.
Yeah, I was, because somebody posted on Twitter, it says Reggie shootout scene, and I'm like, no, Reggie? No.
Yeah, that scene is nuts, bro. They just watching it on the little screen. But that's him though. But yeah, that was a good movie too. I like that movie. But outside of that, played a little bit like I said, played halfway through Space Marines. Been playing a lot of NCAA football. Got back into that. Been doing the Ultimate Team on there. Trying to do a no money challenge on there because that game is a money pit if you try to put money into it. And outside of that, just working and getting caught up on a bunch of stuff. So that's kind of been my focus over the course of like the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Cool. Outside of surgery that I had last week, I in sleeping and dealing with pain meds, I have been playing as Forte mentioned, Warhammer Space Marines 2. Pretty cool. Definitely got that Gears of War vibes to it. Runs really well. I'm playing it like at 4K, 120 frames per second on PC.
No, I was about to ask if you were playing it on PC. I probably didn't mess with my settings a lot, but like when I played it, it was kind of giving me.
Let me switch the gameplay for it. I thought it was 4K 120. Maybe it's like 80 or something. Let me double check.
Yeah,
do I have gameplay?
Because I'm playing at, well, I guess I'm playing at 3440 by 1440p, and I was getting like high 70s frames per second. But I like I said, I probably didn't spend as much time digging around and thing. I will say one thing I don't like is, and again, I have to go back and look. It seems like it is like it's not letterboxed. It's whatever the horizontal version of letterboxed is, instead of really actually full widescreen.
Yeah, I mean,
pillar box. I can't remember what they call it.
I don't know the terms. I wish I did. I was greatly exaggerating. Looks like it's 4K, like 80 FPS, 85 FPS.
So this is my question, because this is the same thing that I saw on Starfield when it first launched, right? Was that, and again, I've got multiple systems. I can throw it at different sets of hardware, and so when I'm throwing it at a higher end set of hardware, and I'm getting the same performance as I am right against a lower end set of hardware, that tells me that it's not well optimized across different hardware sets. Now, that's not the same. I've seen people throwing accusations at it that there are performance problems, and I haven't checked.
I haven't heard that.
I haven't had any performance problems as far as like stuttering or anything like that.
No. I mean, it's not like an Unreal Engine game. This is they're using a proprietary engine on this. So I forgot the name of it. So forgive me on that part, but it's I didn't see any bugs, any no traversal stutter with them loading in the next part of the map. None of that, the kind of stuff that you typically see in Unreal Engine. But
right.
It's pretty dope. Like I'm not up on my Warhammer lore. This is my first Warhammer game, maybe the second Warhammer game I've played.
Don't
so
go down that path.
I'm not.
If you get deep into the lore, that's gonna be like going full Kojima.
Oh, you know, I don't go full Kojima. So no, it's not. I'm not really all that interested in the lore, but it's a dope game. I like it. I'm enjoying it so far. So I've been playing that. I have been playing, and I was playing the gameplay earlier, when we were just talking a little bit earlier, but Towerborn, which is a Xbox published game that's now on Xbox. It's in early access on Steam. From now until like sometime early next year will it finally show up on the Xbox PC app and Xbox. But it's a pretty cool beat 'em up action RPG. I really like the gameplay, and the animation is really good. It's got a very interesting loot system. I'll say it has some elements of like The Division in it, some elements of Destiny in it. My only real gripes with it is, as of right now, the way they do their matchmaking. I think they need to make some changes, because like I would like to do more co-oping, because I think it's 3-player co-op. But the only co-op I've done so far has been with the Slackero. Shout out to Slackero, who me and him got together and decided to play a little earlier today, which I did show some of the gameplay of me and Crow playing. But for every time I try and matchmake into like these missions, it just sits there hanging for like a good 45 seconds to a minute. No one ever shows up, and you know that could be due to like maybe a low player count, but it does every time I go into like what I would consider the tower, you know, the main hub area, there's people all over the place. So I think there's something not quite right with how they got their I don't want to say the algorithm, but however they got their matchmaking set up. Like even, you know, recipes Concord, but Concord with like 20 people playing still got me in and out of matches and matched with people very quickly. So there's a way to do it. It's just, I don't know what they're not doing correctly to get me match made with people, but it is what it is. Anyway, it's pretty cool. It is paid right now, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be free to play, or at least in Game Pass when it does officially launch. But like, yeah, very few gripes with this game. My only other, I say, issue, and this is a personal thing, there's like 4 classes. There's the one that you see the gameplay on screen is called the Shadow Striker. This is my favorite class. I'm like at level 36 or 37 with it, and I'm still in the single digits on the other classes. That lets you know basically what I'm about to complain about is that I don't like the classes. Like, I don't like the other classes. They're fine. They're just not as good as this one. And this is the only one I want to play. So I'm like, that's why I'm like level 30 something with it. The other ones are like kind of like your typical sword and shield. I forgot what that one's called. There's a class with like a staff, and it's fire based, called like the Pyro class. I don't know. And there's another one where it's just like gauntlets, like these huge gauntlets, like dual gauntlets that I think I probably like the least. But I think what they really need, they need more classes. They need to kind of fix the matchmaking. But they got something here. I think they got a pretty good foundation and a good gameplay loop with loot that, like, you know, when I said it reminds me of The Division. Like, you can have gear set where if you are wearing more of the same gear, it gives you bonuses in combat. And so, for example, with the Shadow Striker, I've been using this gear set that gives me poison. And so when I attack enemies, like if I get 5 hits it then applies poison to like every enemy that's close to me in an area. And now I've gotten other like these, I forgot what they call them, aspects, I believe, where I can add bleed to it, I can add burn to it. So now currently right now I'm poisoning, burning, and bleeding all the enemies that I attack. And I don't even have to wait like after 5 hits now. It just all like just starts leveling people. And so my damage is like scaling even bigger now. And my hits hit hard, but it's all the status effects I'm getting that are doing more of the damage now. And I think they did a good job scaling the difficulty, because you got these things called danger levels, and once you get it to a certain gear level, it starts to get super easy. And so you need to go back into like the tower area, up your danger level. Now you could go fight some harder enemies, and especially considering I'm playing most of it solo, it ain't easy. So I appreciate the challenge. It's pretty fun. You know, if you're not on PC, I would say give it a shot when it comes out fully, completely. And if you are on PC, give it a shot on Steam. I think it's worth a look.
SloMo, have you played Trine 5?
No.
Yeah, so I feel like, again, I haven't played Trine 5 or Towerborn, but I feel like a lot of the gameplay seems similar. Trine came out August of last year, so I'm just wondering if to find somebody who's played, you know, who's played both, I can compare. Yeah,
I haven't heard that game, so that's might be something I'll look into.
Yeah,
but
no, it was part of the THQ Nordic showcase from this year, and like, I mean, this, I guess it was that showcase. I want to say one other show, but there have been a couple shows by like the non-platform owners that like they had like games that had already released as part of their showcase, and I'm like, I don't get that. But I guess like if you're somebody who's not a platform owner and your games don't get shown a lot, but
yeah. I've been playing that. I've also been playing, and I'm trying to make sure I get the gameplay for it. This came out on Tuesday. Final Fantasy 16 is on PC now. I've been playing that. Actually, been playing a lot of that. In this, now we want to talk about an unoptimized game. This is an unoptimized game. This is not a very well optimized game, and fortunately for me, I have a 4080 Super, so I'm still playing it at a really high frame rate. I've been playing it like 4K DLSS quality with frame gen on, and I'm getting like I've been mostly hitting like 100 and 110 frames per second, but it was kind of hard going in the beginning. Like I had a couple of crashes in the first day. I had a weird error I've never seen before, where the game froze, crashed, and then I got a pop-up saying in Japanese, and then the only English word in it just said dump, and I'm just like with a question mark, and it was like yes or no, and I'm like, I don't know what this means. So I said, sure, why not? I hit yes. And then after I did that and restarted the game, I had no problems after that. The game is not well optimized. The cutscenes are in 30 frames per second. I have no idea why they would do that. That's so ridiculous. And but you know, shout out to the PC community with mods, because I within hours of its release, there was a mod to unlock the frame rate in cutscenes, and there's a mod that fixed a lot of little minor things that for some reason Square Enix just didn't know would be an issue for PC gamers. So that stuff has been taken care of. I've been kind of going through it. I've already got the for those who I know, it's been out for a year. I can talk about this. I got Garuda already, so I've been playing that a lot. So I'm not like close to the end or anything, but I'm a few hours in. It's definitely a game. If you didn't play it on PlayStation, it's definitely a game that the first maybe 3 or 4 hours are pretty slow. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of world building, a lot of lore to really like lay at your feet. But once it really gets started, you really it's a good experience. It's a good story. Clive is a good main protagonist. It's a decent game. It's a decent Final Fantasy. It's better than 15 in my humble opinion, but I think it's very light on the RPG elements, and for that, some people that's unforgivable for them, which is understandable. We all have preferences. You guys ready to get into this? Because I want to talk about another game that I have been playing over the past week. And this would be our first topic, Astrobot. And Astrobot came out last week, I believe.
Yeah, last Friday.
Right. We've been completely just off. So this is supposed to be a topic for last week, and But anyway, Astrobot has come out. Some are saying it's a game of the year contender. Some are hating on it, saying it's copying other platformers and it's copying Mario and I really don't care. I like Astrobot. I love the music. I thought it was dope. I like the paying homage to the history of PlayStation. Some really awesome levels there. My personal favorite is the Uncharted level. I haven't finished it yet because, like I said, I've been playing way too many games. But I am fairly close to finishing the game, and it's a good time. I've been exploring things. I'm taking my time. I'm not trying to rush through it so I can say, hey, I beat this in 6 hours. Well, who cares, bro? Like, I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time with it. Forte, have you played it yet?
I played the first 2 levels. I watched my daughter beat it already, though.
Oh, wow. Shout out to her. What are your thoughts on it?
Man, that game is incredible. Like I said, the only reason I didn't finish it because I wasn't feeling good throughout the week. So I got through the first 2 volumes and the stuff in the game. And while I was downstairs, what was I doing? I think I was just downstairs, like editing some stuff on college football for my dynasty, and I heard her over there playing it. So I went over there and just sat on the couch while she was playing it. And next thing I know, 3-4 hours went by. I fell asleep on the couch, woke up, she was still playing. So I ended up watching her. She did it in, I think she did it in 2.5 days. Yeah, she played. As soon as she got home from school, she was on there. And the game is,
it's a fun game. Yeah,
the game's, I mean, I love the first one, and I plan on platinum in this one just like it did the last one. Just got to get back into the flow of playing it again. But for the most part, dude, everything you would want from what that game was in the pack in is here. It's like nothing's missing. I feel like just the attention to detail. I think just the overall way that they're implementing the way that PlayStation is basically being pretty much honored through this whole freaking game is freaking incredible. And I just like all the way down to just the way that the other little bots react to you in the game as you're doing things is just it's winsome and it's charming. And it's like, it makes me feel like the day that we got our PS5s and we found out this was a game that was packed in and we turned it on for the first time and played it. And I didn't know I would have that same exact feeling, because it's kind of hard to, manufacture the feelings that you had the first time that you saw something. But I feel like just between the music, the little subtle things that, you know, Astro does in the game to like, it's like he almost makes you feel like you don't want to put the game down because he's always waving you to come on, let's keep going. And it's like done in such a cute manner, an amazing manner, that, and then the gameplay itself is just, it's great for a platformer. It just makes you kind of want to just keep going. So they did it really good with this, and I never thought I would say that this game could be game of the year. It's up there. I mean, you know, and it's not up there. And some people keep saying, well, it's up there because it's like kind of a weak year so far. I was like, even if it was a strong year, I think this would be in the conversation, because you don't really have too many platformers that do what this is doing in the way that it's doing. Like I was talking about last year when I kept telling people that your Mario Wonder is going to be in the game of the year conversation, and people kept saying, oh, it's a game. I say, dude, they haven't made a game like this in over 20 years. This game's phenomenal. And this game, I feel like, takes that to another level because it's not done in a 2D form. This is done in a 3D form platformer. And it's like, and then it's like one of PlayStation's most highest rated games in the last 2 years. So
yeah, it's really high on Metacritic, but I think it's like a 93 on Metacritic or something like that.
Yeah. It's gonna be there. So I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy it so far, and I'm definitely going to finish it. But just even watching you play the game now, I'm like, it's so cool, man. Rescuing bots, and that's another thing I like too. How you have like the skins, they don't just give them to you. You have to unlock those skins. So it's like if you want to play as Nathan Drake or like the God, like I love the God of War level. It's like stuff when you meet Kratos, it's so funny.
Yeah, so my favorite level is the Uncharted level because you're just shooting. Oh my god, it's dope. It's dope.
Is it like Murder, Death, Mayhem still?
So what?
Is it Murder, Death, Mayhem? Is that how they portrayed it? I haven't seen the Uncharted one. That's why.
Oh no, it's just like Nathan Drake is like he's fighting all of these enemies, and he's like in cover, and then Astrobot shows up, and then Nathan Drake throws him his gun, and then you're just mowing everyone down.
That's what I'm saying. So it's murder, death, kill. Kill everything around me and help me.
I guess.
The Uncharted way. That's what I'm saying. That's the Uncharted way, though.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just a fun game, and I think I acknowledge that. Like, well, let me just say this real quick before we bring Logic in. I find it funny that people are like, well, you know, they took levels from not levels, but boss fights from the VR game. And they're reusing it. I'm like, did you play the VR game? Cricket. So what does it matter to you if they reuse boss fights that are brand new to you? What are you complaining about? You're just complaining to complain. You're just hating to hate. It's stupid. Stop being stupid. And it's just like, what are we doing here? You complain about that. A lot of inspiration, I'll say, you know, from Mario platformers. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Like, but you know, people apparently don't have a problem when other games take inspiration from other games, but now you got a problem with this one. It's just funny, you know. So I wanted to say that real quick. Logic, have you played Astrobot at all?
So I'm deliberately laying off the mic a little bit before I came in because I boosted the volume. So I want to, in case I come in too loud. So,
okay, you sound fine to me, but I don't know. I guess other people will let us know.
Yeah, I listened to it on the YouTube playback, and I was definitely quiet. So freaking Windows had the levels turned down to 50, even though I had gain and volume all the way up on my mixer.
Don't you hate when Windows does that?
I love it. Yeah, you gotta love it. So if in the chat, if I'm too loud now, just let me know. Now, Slomo, what was your question?
Have you played Astrobot yet?
No.
Haven't played the Game of the Year nominee so far yet. When's the last time you turned your PlayStation on, Logic?
So I don't look. I'm gonna say this.
Oh.
I'm gonna say this, and it's not to sidetrack the podcast. So don't look. I'm about to pop chaff. I'm about to pop a distraction round. Don't get distracted. I don't have a PlayStation 5.
When did this happen?
Ooh.
Actually today. Although I broke it down and had it in a box over the weekend.
Wait a minute, but Astrobot came out a week ago, so you can at least play the Astrobot before you decide to box
No,
it up?
that was not my that was not my goodbye soiree. No.
Oh my god, he did. Wait, is it? Wait, please, at least are you getting rid of it in preparation of getting the PS5, which is a topic we're going to talk about later?
No.
The PS5 Pro, you mean?
Lord.
Yeah, no, I got rid of it to go PC only.
Oh, this is a whole other conversation. You're right. You just derailed the podcast.
We can discuss that more later, but that's
we'll discuss that more later.
No, what I will say about Astrobot is the problem with the hypocrisy running around, right? I think we're also going to talk a lot about fakes and fraudulism and hypocrisy tonight. Portal and Portal 2 are thought of as as two of the best PC games of all time.
true.
Portal 2 is 8.5. Portal 2 is 8.5 hours. I finished Portal in a single sitting. Right, started it on a Sunday afternoon. Right, in regular time. Right, so I specifically remember it was not daylight savings time. I started it at like 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and was done by sunset. Like throwing shade at a game and disparaging it simply based on nothing other than length of the game is just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's just people hating for the sake of hating. They do it all the time. It's on both sides of the stupid console war. We saw it with Hellblade 2. We saw it with Spider-Man, Miles Morales. People want to give it all kinds of labels and talk about the length of the game, and it's just like, yo, did you enjoy it? All right, we're good. Shut up. Like, what are we talking about here?
And how long is Hellblade 2?
Hellblade 2, I think it's like 6. Like I think the fastest you could probably beat it is 6. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know about. It might be.
I think I beat it in like 8 or 9 or something like that. But like the length of a game, I don't think has anything to do with how the quality of a title. A lot of the games that I've played and really enjoyed weren't very long games. What Remains of Edith Finch, kind of a walking sim, but great game. Not great walking sim. Play it. It's a great game. And that game was like less than 10 hours. There's another game that's like, it's like on the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to remember.
Max Payne, the original Max Payne. It's like a 6.5 to 8 hour game. One of my top 3 favorite games of all time.
Yeah. Not every game has to be, and it's funny because it's like you can never tell where people are, where they're like, oh, but games are too long, games are too short. And it's just like, are y'all ever satisfied? Or is it you're only satisfied on your side of things or for your platform, and then you use the same arguments that you complain about when it's the other side's games that come out? It's just, I don't know if people just are just addicted to being hypocrites. Another one, here's the Stanley Parable. Have you guys ever played that?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. So unique, so different. And you can beat that game. Yeah, less than that. You could be seeing credits in the game in like 30 minutes. Actually, all by your own choices.
Actually, depending on what path you take, I mean, you could almost immediately finish it.
Right. But it is critically acclaimed and deservedly so. And people just like the whole how long a game is. I can understand if you spent $70 on a game that's like 5 minutes, clearly, like, which no $70 game is, but like I get people saying, hey, like, you know, that's too short, but this isn't what we're talking about. It's just people just hating for no reason. So whatever. What do you guys think about this game and Game of the Year? Do you think it's going to be a nominee? Do you think it's going to win? I think it'll at least be a nominee. But Logic, what do you think?
Yes, tell us how you feel, old wise person that got rid of his PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I mean, I assume that it will be. I was trying to think what other great platformers have come out this year, and I was also trying to think, you know, what. I mean, because wasn't there a Mario game in the nominees last year?
Yeah, Mario Wonder.
Mario games.
Two, yeah.
Mario games.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good
3
chance.
Nintendo games in the running for last year.
I mean, I always hesitate to say, right, because again, and this is like, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. This is my own particular salt, but I am always salty about this. I just always feel like there should be no discussion about Game of the Year until December. You know, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of additional games coming out. So
yeah, but the nominees come out in November.
Yeah. We're talking about what we're just talking. You know, I get what you're saying. I think it's just more of what is, like, as of right now, where do you see this game in that vein of Name of the Year? And for me, I'll answer the question. I feel like it's between this and Wukong right now. But I think Wukong is going to fall behind on this game due to the technical issues that the game was having. Whereas this game isn't having any issues whatsoever. It's like, you know, everybody loves it. It's not really a divisive sentiment around the game right now. So that's kind of how I look at it. So you're right, there are other games. I mean, we still got Assassin's Creed, Mirage coming out at the end of the year. We have Unknown
Awakening.
Yeah, we have a bunch of games. Yeah, even what is the Dragon Age game this year too?
Yes,
but
it's at October 31st. The cutoff is like November, like the second week of November or something like that.
So there's a lot of games that still. I mean, for God's sakes, Call of Duty. I mean, even though we know it never wins, it comes out October 24th. So there's a lot of games that are still to come out that haven't been that haven't even got a chance to shine yet. I'm just saying, up to this point, I think Astrobot is like securely in the lead right now. Now that could change in the next 30 to 40 days, though.
So again,
depending on what comes out.
And I say this not having played it, like, and I accept, right, the running byline that it is excellence in execution. Mm-hmm. But I just feel there are a lot of undersung games this year that are better than the sum of their parts, right, and better than the voice track that goes along with them, right? I mean, in genres that color what's on offer on the market, mm-hmm. right, with more shades, right, than Astrobot does. I mean,
gotcha.
Unicorn Overlord, Ayuden Chronicle. Mm. I mean, we've had lots of JRPGs this year, lots of turn-based stuff, lots of strategic types of games where
some aren't out yet, like Metaphor, Refantasma, whatever it's called.
Refantasma. Yeah, you're right.
So it's like, if I think of those, and look, I almost hate to say this.
No, go say
it. It has its problems, but like I feel Star Wars Outlaws is striking a mark with regards to what we normally get for a Star Wars game, and a little bit of that is caught up in like the Star Wars mythos and the fact that I'm just kind of over, right, seeing Skywalkers and Jedi, but I feel as far as storytelling and what's landing on the creative face of the market right now, that game to me holds more significance right across the market than Astrobot does.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I always say when it comes to this conversation, and that is we gotta remember who's voting for this.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are voting for this are journalists, and you have to remember what they say about games. The games that are in the conversation at the time that they release, because what they're saying about that is exactly how they're going to feel about it later on when they're doing their voting, and their voting matters, unfortunately, more than anyone else's vote. So when it comes to, say, like Black Myth Wukong, not a very high Metacritic, not games that are difficult, unless it's made by From Software, don't typically get that Game of the Year kind of run. And I wouldn't say Wukong is difficult, but for some of these gaming journalists, yes. So that and its performance issues are the reason why I think it's it reviews so like just average. But I bring up the reviews and unfortunately Metacritic because Astrobot's got a 92 or 93. And that tells you how they feel about the game. And you got people out here like, Astrobot reminds me of my youth. I remember as a kid staring at the big picture tube TV, and my mom left me so that she could go get banged out in the back of a car, and I was just playing Tecmo Bowl, and like, all right, man, we get it. It reminds you of times gone past.
So,
but
do we think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to get a nomination? No.
Oh yeah. No, that will, because it's a 90.
Yeah.
I think it was a 90. What was Rebirth?
It's 92 right now.
Yep, it's going to anything that's a 90, that's a AAA game, is getting in the conversation.
Do we think Animal Well will get the nod as the indie vote for this year as a nomination?
I don't know. I kind of feel I may be a bit biased here, but I kind of feel like Unicorn Overlord will be the one.
I was thinking.
That would get that.
You think that'll get a nod ahead of Balatro? Which is no card game typically gets in, but Balatro is incredibly popular amongst the media.
Right. I think it does. I think Unicorn Overlord will get in over that.
So I think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth definitely gets a nod.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was well received early in the year, so that one definitely would be in there. If fighting games don't get in,
right?
Not for Game of the Year. You gotta remember, like for the Keeleys, only certain genres get in. Like if you can't beat like Xbox guys think they hate racers. They don't like racers, man.
Genres.
Yeah, you're not.
On the stage at the Keeleys, that's what happens at the Keeleys.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. I mean, like you may not make the big stage at the Keeleys. They don't even want the developer to go up on the stage and accept the reward. They just have Jeff be like, yeah. So while we were on commercial break and you watch the commercials for games that you don't care about, so and so just won this, and so just won that, and here's all the esports, and hey, okay, now back to some game announcements so I can make money. That's essentially how it's going to work out. But I if it's a puzzle game, it's going to be in that puzzle category.
I can't really call last year when this question came up. I mean I did the same. Like I went down the Metacritic list, and based on eliminating the genres that don't typically get nominations, right? My vote would have pretty much been right by Metacritic. But this year, tons of the stuff at the top in Metacritic is, like I said, Tekken 8 is up there. There's more than normally would be the fair share of indies up in the top of the list. There's Animal Well, there's Balatro, there is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Mullet Mad Jack, which I haven't heard anybody talk about.
And that's mostly just due to the fact that there's been less AAA games that came out this year.
Yeah, mini shoot adventures, and then you finally get down to Unicorn Overlord. So it's just, I mean, you know, only one indie is going to get the nomination. I can't.
Yeah, Keely can't have all those offshoots on his show. You already know how he gonna feel.
Right.
Yeah,
they don't make enough money, and they don't make him enough money to be able to get in that conversation. Like I hate to be so cynical with it, but I mean it's the truth. It's why a lot of developers will be on. A lot of developers be giving Keely a smoke on Twitter, and he justifiably deserves it. I mean, him. Did you see him in the past week? I mean, embarrassing himself, going against a parody website, just and getting embarrassed because they were clearly clowning the hell out of him. It's just
this is something that could happen, but I don't want to happen. It really just depends on the games as they come out. If we have a situation where the back half of the year, these games don't really showcase themselves in the manner of being 9s and, you know, lower 9s or mid 9s when it comes to Metacritic and stuff like that, then I see an opportunity. That's when you'll see stuff like Star Wars making it in. Or if they just don't have enough games, because I do think there is this notion where big games have to be a part of the showcase. You know, I don't think they have a problem with putting smaller games in there because we had smaller games win it before. You know, we had, you know, the Walking Dead, the Telltale game was one of the very first, you know, indie games to win it.
That was a decade ago. And things, the audience has changed and the finances have changed.
I know that. I'm just saying it's happened. But I'm saying in general, the reason it doesn't happen that often is because there's always, for the most part, AAA and AA games that come out that exceed expectations more than anything, and that's put them that they kind of get the banner. Plus, you know, like you said, those bring more money and sponsorships when it comes to, you know, the overall, you know, effectiveness of what they do to bring people to the show. Doesn't mean they're going to win it. It just means that they're bringing more eyeballs to the show. So if you see a year where Call of Duty's on the list, then you know we had a bad year in gaming, because Call of Duty, as much as it's been good and bad some years, if it makes it this year, and
Call of Duty will never get a vote for Game of the Year. No, not even nominee.
It did get a vote for Game of the Year for Modern Warfare. I do think that's the last time he got it.
I don't see it. Black Ops 6 could be. I mean, the beta was cool, and I had a great time. The campaign could be fantastic. The zombies mode could be the best zombies mode ever, and it ain't getting nominated.
I just think
it won't even win like multiplayer game of the year. Call of Duty just gets ignored.
I just think it comes down to what else is nominated. Like, right, you know, this time last year, SloMo, we already had the 6 games filled out and had 2 other games on the horizon that could make it.
True.
Yeah, this year's just weird.
And that's what I'm saying. You know, we're in a very weird year right now where we can only really, like, AAA game wise, Star Wars, Wukong, and Astro.
Star Wars Outlaws will not get nominated. It's going to be Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. It's going to be Rebirth.
Like a Dragon.
It's going to be Astrobot. It might be Dragon Age, the Veilguard. If that turns out to be good, people are just begging, just waiting for BioWare to show that they can still do anything.
That's already out. Because like I said, we had 6 games before we even got past this point. Right now, we don't have 6 games.
Well, the thing is that it's not always 6. It's 6 5. When it's 6 nominees when it's like a ton of games, but if it's not a ton of games, it's 5 nominees.
That's what I'm saying. So what 5 AAA games or AA games, and what indie? Like I said, I think Unicorn Overload is probably the indie. So what are
Overlord, man? You keep saying that. Unicorn Overlord, Like a Dragon, Astrobot. What was Rebirth? That's 4 right there, and maybe one more game that may not have released yet. And there's your 5, I think.
But, so did Final Fantasy remake make it?
Yes,
it should be up there. I mean, by Metacritic, it should be Astrobot.
No, I'm saying did for the year that.
It did. Yeah,
it was named. It was a nominee.
It was a nominee. Yeah,
I can't remember who was actually named a nominee. It should have been. It should
be by Metascore. It should be Astrobot, Final Fantasy. I'm gonna give it to Animal Well as the token indie. What the hell is that? That must be the remake or whatever. It should be Like a Dragon. I'm gonna go ahead and say Paper Mario.
Oh Lord,
it's up there. It's 18th right now.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you gotta have your Nintendo nominee. So
yeah, and then if it goes to 6, man, that's tough. That could be Unicorn Overlord or Prince of Persia.
Huh.
Oh yeah, Prince of Persia. That was pretty good earlier this year.
And that's because I'm eliminating like remakes, remasters. You know, not allowing in any more than the one indie.
Yeah, well, remasters should never be nominated for anything, in my opinion. But remakes or DLC, right? But remakes, I'm fine with. I'm fine with DLC being nominated for any other category that's not like Game of the Year or RPG of the Year. Like, I know it's going to be there because Keely's a shill, but for best RPG of the year, they're going to have Elden Ring in there again. But like, it's so unfair to other RPGs to have Elden Ring, which is a generational game, if you think about it, with a expansion that the freaking in order to even access the expansion, even see 1 second of it, you need to play a significant portion of the base game, beat 2 major bosses. To even fight one of the bosses, you gotta progress through a major quest line for a significant portion of it. It's just, no, it's the same thing I said last year about Phantom Liberty, which I freaking love because I love Cyberpunk. Absolutely adore it. But no, it should. All the nominations it got last year pissed me off because it's just like that game came out in 2020, bro. It's like you have to do 2 major quest lines in Cyberpunk to even get the Phantom Liberty. It's a trash show. I'd be frank, but whatever. It's the most popular one. It has 130 million people watching it every year, so it's why we discuss it. But okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Annapurna Interactive, a publishing house and developer that I've enjoyed their games in the past. I think some people say they're a bit hit or miss, and I get that, but I think they have unique experiences that aren't your typical run of the middle, and I enjoy them. But I guess I'll be enjoying a new developer based off of them because the entire staff at Annapurna Interactive resigned and walked out. A spokesperson for Annapurna confirmed that it had explored a spinoff of the studio and said the parties failed to reach an agreement, which led to the entire resignation of the 50-person team. The exodus has led to chaos as game developers who are partnered with Annapurna are trying to figure out what this means for their upcoming projects. As I said earlier, Annapurna is also a publisher, and they're responsible for just not funding their own games that they develop, but funding other games that they're publishing. So they have been given assurances to the developers that they're working with that it's business as usual for those games. So people who were concerned about mixtape is still coming out. I know there are a lot of people that were excited for that game when they first showed it. Mixtape is still coming. There was a recent announcement of Annapurna partnering with Remedy on Control 2. From what I don't know what their involvement is with the actual game, but they have confirmed that none of this is going to affect Control 2 in its milestones and coming out on time. So that's great. It seems the majority of the partnership with Remedy is more about getting Control into different aspects that Annapurna is helping them with when it comes to different forms of media. I wasn't aware Annapurna also had a different media house that kind of works with maybe movies or TV shows and stuff like that. So it's like Remedy's trying to get the Control IP out further to more eyes, which is great. But what does this mean for Annapurna? Forte, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that they can recover, or are you just like, hit me up when you guys get your new name for the devs?
Everybody left. It's like it's like literally the company in name only, or the developer in name only, and like who's there, all the talent that worked on all this stuff that people were looking forward to, they basically said we out. So I mean, you don't want to be doom and gloom on the whole thing, because other developers can come in there and they could definitely take that mantle. They could probably find developers that enjoy the type of games that Annapurna was creating before. So it's never saying it's completely over, but I mean, I think it's basically a hard sell, especially right now with the way that the cost of making these games is going, and now you're talking about trying to either reboot, resalvage some of these games that they are making. Like you said, they are still
all the games that they have in development where they're publishing. That I don't know what was being developed. Maybe that might end up like in-house development of whatever Annapurna games are being developed might be shut down. But it seems like at the moment, a lot of the games that they were working on, they were publishing, like Mixtape and potentially Control 2. And so the development, because like, look, this is just in-house developers saying, peace out, I'm taking my ball and going home. That doesn't affect, them financing and publishing other games made by other developers that aren't under their umbrella. So all that stuff is still a go. It's just Annapurna as a studio themselves are no longer going to be, at least with the current talent that they had making any more games. I'm of the side of just these devs, wherever they go and whatever new name, when they come out with their new name and say, hey, we are blah 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 games, I'm like, bet I'll look out for what you're working on. Logic, what are your thoughts on this?
Not a lot. It's it's a time of turmoil, right, in the industry. I don't know how much more can be said than that, right? We've had studios come and go, right? We've had a lot of the dialogue going around this week is about AA and indie devs and things that can be learned. Article over on GameIndustry.biz by Dan Nett, I think his name is. Talks a little bit about what AAA studios can learn from indies in the AA space, and this model of co-development studios that's gaining some strength in the industry. And I wrote a little on Twitter today about how I think that's good and great, but I hedge my bets on how much of an impact it'll make. We have the Callisto Protocol studio, the Immortals of Avium studio, right? We have all of these kind of studios in these double A near triple A spaces that made games, in some cases games that were critically acclaimed, and still didn't make it. But in and amongst that theme, we also have, I'm not sure exactly what I want to call it, but a little bit of, we're not going to take it anymore, right? In certain vestiges of the market, right? Where employees are kind of doing what they're doing. Employees are unionizing, and employees are doing things like these guys did, like where they're walking out. We had, I can't remember the name of the studio. We covered it on Enough to Keep Going. We just had a studio recently that unionized on a Friday, and on Monday, the CEO came in and fired everybody who had voted for unionization.
Wow.
So, it's just, like I said, it's just a lot of strife and turmoil in the industry right now. And unfortunately, some of these things like this are going to happen. There are both ups and downs, but there's a lot of it is kind of the only thing I could say.
Yeah. I agree, and I think that a lot of that is I think organic is the wrong word, but a just reaction to what we're seeing, where the industry is contracting from all the expansion it did earlier in this decade, coming off of the greed of publishers and platforms to see the very temporary, easily going to be temporary due to the conditions of the pandemic growth that they were having, and they hired all these people based on that. And then after that, they said, okay, we don't need you no more. We're out of here. And then there is the typical acquisition redundancies that are happening, and just really just seeing platforms talk about it's a business as they renege on the things that they told developers and studios that they acquired of how they would be managed and maintained. Seeing them renege on the things that they said to the actual players and consumers of those games. The stuff is, of course, you're going to start to get this reaction where developers are just going to be like, you know what? Why am I struggling for and wasting my health and my time on these dickhead business people who don't know anything about the art, don't know anything about gaming. All they know is numbers, and all they know is well, this sold, this is the statistics say that everyone likes these kind of games, and what the freak do you know about any of this stuff? Really what do you think? What do you really know about what gamers want? What do you know about creativity and actually creating something? And you don't know anything, so it's just, I think it's about time that developers actually push forward for doing things like this. Start your own studio, get your funding. You're probably gonna have to get that funded through a bank or whatever. Do what you gotta do. Take those chances, and it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work out, but if you make something dope, whether it sells or not, we will appreciate it. Us real gamers will. But that's just my get off my soapbox, my thought on it. Anything else you guys want to say about this before we move on? No? We good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry.
All right, no problem. All right, so Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We talked about this a little bit earlier. The beta came out. It's pretty good. And very interesting enough, we've found out that a practice that they've been doing over the past couple years, where they kind of drip feed different portions of the game in early access to the Call of Duty community, which I thought was a fantastic idea. One, because it got people who weren't really into anything other than their mainstay modes in Call of Duty to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like if you have the campaign come out a week early before the official launch of the game, people who would not touch the campaign are like, man, I can't get into the multiplayer. I can't get into the new Warzone map, but I can play this. And also you get, for completing the campaign, just completing each mission, you get like skins unlocked and stuff like that. And that's just it. Hey, all this stuff carries over to the modes that I do care about. And I thought that was a great idea to help generate more interest in other modes. But apparently not, because they're not doing that this year, which I think is not exactly the best idea. I guess we'll find out. But a statement from Activision representative says that the team is fully focused on October 25th, which is the date that the game comes out. We are excited about all the game has to offer across campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. This year, we made the decision to ensure the community gets to dig in to any and all modes that they want at the same time. So we are back to one massive global launch moment, October 25th. As such, there is no early access beat this year for Black Ops 6, just the countdown to launch. Now, one question I have is, do you think this has anything to do with the acquisition?
Sure does.
I mean,
everything to do with it.
Okay, Forte, illuminate us. Why is the acquisition the key part to this?
So the early access was always tied to the Vault Edition. So if you bought the Vault Edition, you got early access to the campaign, which I always thought was a great thing. Not even because of what you said. I think it really helped the people like myself that really like the campaigns and wanted to, you didn't want to get left behind. So it was like, so you got a chance to play the campaign a week early. And then by the time you would have finished the campaign, you could just jump into multiplayer with everybody else right away. I think it's mostly driven by, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I feel like it's driven more by the acquisition or by just Microsoft in general, because they want to see a massive number of people all at one time on that game. They want to show confidence in the title with them putting it on Game Pass and it being something that's going to be sold on day one. You're never going to get a bigger number than the day that you release it. And what's been happening in the past is it really hasn't been kind of tracked. I guess it's been tracked on the side of Activision because Microsoft sees those numbers now. But it was kind of splitting the player base when you were doing it a week here, a week early for this, and a week later for the multiplayer and stuff. Multiplayer would see a big boost, but you wouldn't see the entire game have that same boost because it was split up across two launches. These companies like to see those huge numbers so they can celebrate huge wins and say, in the first day of launch on Call of Duty, we had this many active users, because we already know it's all about MAUs. So this is our MAUs for the first day of this game, not just stretched across, the landscape for two of them. So I think it was more just a push by Microsoft to basically say, we want everybody, to play together, pretty much like they say in their whole slogan that, you can play games anywhere, anytime with anybody you want to. They're doing the same thing when it comes to this game too, because they want to see that huge player base number at the very beginning of the release of it.
All right, so I'm gonna say that is bean counters caring more about how things look instead of how things actually are, because I think that the practice of them it was tied into the Vault Edition. All right, well, don't tie it into the Vault Edition. Just say if you bought the game already, you already pre-ordered the game, whether it's Vault Edition or not, you get access to the campaign early or whatever, because what they did was it got people to play modes they don't normally play, which means that campaign got played by more people than normal, which also gave people benefits into doing that. Like 2/3 of your Call of Duty community plays Warzone, and that's all they play. And the only reason why they play multiplayer was so that they could get their guns leveled up and all the attachments on them before Warzone dropped. So like, if you're not doing those things, you're just basically losing out on all the engagement that you're going to be getting. And maybe, you know, some of these Warzone kids will like multiplayer, you know, that they gotta play for a week or two before Warzone drops. Maybe they like the campaigns. You're not giving the opportunity for growth in these other areas. So like maybe they'll like zombies. You don't know, because you're just basically saying it's all here all at once, and people are just going to gravitate to the modes of Call of Duty that they always do, which also hurts them when it comes to when they start doing new things. Because like Call of Duty very much is like how Fortnite will try new stuff. Like, remember when they tried Call of Duty DMZ? That was their extraction shooter mode. You know, it didn't work out, but that's fine. It didn't, you know, you gave it a shot and it didn't work.
Oh, that was a dumb kill.
That
guy killed you real. That was dumb. He didn't even look at you.
That's why I reported them.
You are reporting them.
So I was like,
I'm looking at the kill. I was like, well, that was dumb.
I was like, oh, word, that's what we doing out here. All right, well, you know, you can hold that report, buddy. Anyway, no, but I just think that like you're doing yourself a disservice all for what, like those empty numbers don't mean much. It means more if you got more people playing all the most, and maybe they stop playing Call of Duty campaign after Warzone drops, or stop playing multiplayer. But at least you got them in there in the beginning.
Let me play devil's advocate on that, because I do think you are probably more right than you're wrong, but I do think that the vote edition, it wasn't to get people just to play it early. I think the vote edition was a way of getting people that play campaign to spend more money to get it earlier. Like, because the people that bought it, like think about it, if you're a multiplayer person and you really don't care about the multiplayer, which most people for Call of Duty don't care about, they already was buying the vote edition because they wanted all the extra stuff for the vote edition. They were going to buy that anyway. But you're enticing the single player person to spend more money to get it a week earlier. So you're enticing them $30. Like, hey, we know you don't play multiplayer as much, so we want to give you an option that gives you the ability to play that earlier, which does make the numbers look better, because a lot of the times, a lot of people that play single player, it's a lot of people that's on the fence. It's like, do I jump in single player first, or do I jump in multiplayer first? Normally when the game comes out at the same time, people want to jump into the multiplayer, because that's the thing that you have to level up, grind your character, and
right,
to a comfortable spot.
But
So
before, this is what I'm saying. If they have the multiplayer and the new map for Warzone drop at the same time, are people going to grind the multiplayer to get their weapons leveled up, or are they going to just start jumping into Warzone off the break?
I think there's probably a number out there that they saw that shows that is not beneficial for them, because honestly, it doesn't. If you look at it on face value, it doesn't make sense. You had people spending $30 extra, mostly just to get the campaign earlier. You know, people are going to buy it at 70, but they spent 30 more just to play the campaign a week earlier, because we know how people are. People just are impatient, and if they can play something now, they'll do it. That's why early access exists for people like that. So I think there's a number out there that they looked at, since they've been with Activision, that says that this is more beneficial for people that if we weren't in a subscription service, because I do think the subscription service does have something to do with that too. They'd rather a person spend the $15 or the $20 a month to get in there and have the opportunity of being stuck in the subscription service than just paying that $100 up front.
Because they already gave people beta access if you have Game Pass. So if you start allowing people to play it early, you're probably going to have to allow people to play it. I don't know.
There's a lot of different ways they can go. We don't really see. That's the thing. We don't know what their plan is, because, like I said, this is going to be the most interesting year for Xbox with Call of Duty, because when the acquisition went through last year, pretty much everything was set in stone. What's happening with, you know, Modern Warfare 3, you know, nothing was going to, Microsoft couldn't change anything. It was already there. This is the first year that they have absolute control on every little thing that happens with the game when it comes to release cadence, how it's released, bundles and everything. What, like, you know, the fact that the beta was across everything for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, they said this is the biggest beta they ever had as far as engagement. The number of people played it. It was the most people.
Wasn't just exclusive to one platform, and that's a whole nother. Think about that. This should tell you why they literally came out and said this is the biggest beta they've ever had.
The betas haven't always only been on play. Well, I mean, no, it wasn't. PlayStation didn't always have it, but
2014.
Yeah, but they haven't had all the betas. Like, no.
They would just get earlier access to the beta.
Thank you, early access. They didn't.
They talked about, but see, this is the thing I'm talking about. You're right. They all had betas. Like Xbox had a beta that was like usually the way it would go. PlayStation would have the first. They would have the initial beta.
Early access.
Then Xbox will have a beta, and then it will be an open beta for both platforms. So, but what they're saying is this is the biggest beta they've ever had because everybody was together. That's why I'm kind of.
No, I think it's the biggest beta because they had the most people they've ever had play it, which it could be, contributed to, it's in Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you had the opportunity. You didn't have to pre-order it, which was something that was a prerequisite before they did the open beta, and so people could just jump in. So I do think that had more to do with why it was the biggest beta they had, and not necessarily just because.
But this isn't even about the beta though. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. The reason that part of the reason why I believe they did this is because they want to showcase this being, a big number for them across all platforms.
So I think the number is going to be, no matter what, the number is going to be big. And
it's going to be huge.
I'm not going to say I think your theory is completely out, but I think at scale, the delta in the numbers is in the noise. Like billions of people versus more billions of people. Like I don't know, are millions of players. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. Do we think they're doing this for damage control reasons? And so the 3 points of damage control that I wonder about are: one, Xbox has had a year of, the skullduggery with Starfield and being cherry picking about who they gave access to review codes for. The media not particularly favoring them for reviews for things like Hellblade 2. Do we think this is a matter of, in the single player campaign for last year's Call of Duty being slathered based largely on its length, which again, I think is also stupid. I didn't play the single player campaign, so I don't know how bad it was. There have been great Call of Duty campagns, and actually SloMo, what I was gonna say earlier was I wish Call of Duty could compete for I don't think it would get into GOTY, but I wish it could compete as separate titles, right? Like I wish the single player campaigns could just get their own due when those single player campaigns are great and not be punished, right, for multiplayer. But anyway,
looking for my favorite map. Sorry, I'm looking for my favorite map, Skyline in the Black Ops beta. Go ahead.
So I wonder a little bit about, is this review damage control, right? We don't want to get it into people's hands and start getting bad word out before people buy it, right, before the game launches and releases, lest we have some people who push back from the table, right, because they're not hearing good things about the campaign, is one thing I question. The second thing I question is I don't know that it's impacting them a little, but again, I go back to, I personally think Xbox has a messaging problem and a potential friction problem, right, with its consumer base when you have people on Game Pass who are like, hey, you guys said day and date, but now what you're doing is day and date for them, but not day and date for everybody. I think that's a problem, personally. I think, you know, you have people who are still signed up now, even though some people have been tiered out. You have some people who signed up for day and date, but now it's, well, day and date, but like there's an elite class, right, of consumer who pays extra money, right, to get early access, even though they're all Game Pass subscribers. I think there's a problem in how that messaging goes across. But the other thing, and this is the biggest point of damage control that I wonder about, is you want Game Pass subscribers and you want numbers. That's the entire reason you put Call of Duty in the subscription service. By giving access to the campaign and early access, you incentivize more people to buy the game. And I know what Uncle Phil says. Oh, we don't care if you buy it or get it on subscription or rent it or, you know, trade 3 proofs of purchase for it or whatever. We give you multiple ways to consume, right? But the fact of the matter is, you know, Amy the Hood just talked about their business model looking more and more like an IP annuity and a subscription service. If you want numbers, and that's the Call of Duty play, do you do a thing that incentivizes? I mean, and look, if you're going to force me to buy the Vault Edition, then why do I need to subscribe to Game Pass, particularly with the new tiering that just came out? Now, what I'm not clear about is, are they off with the, have they, or will they, or I haven't looked at the pricing models, but do they have it set up like the other stuff where, like, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you can do the bump just for the incremental cost of the bump? Or like, does buying the Vault Edition?
So like, if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you want the Vault Edition, you don't need to pay like the full, what is that, $80-$90 or something like that. Yeah, you're paying the difference, which is typically like, for example, if you're like Starfield, for example, it's the Shadow Space deal expansion is paid. You can't just use that. You can't just straight up like decide to what, you're not getting it through Game Pass basically. So what you do is if you want that, you'll just pay the $30. You have the base game through Game Pass, so you don't really need it. It's the same thing with like the Forza games, like the Forza expansions that come out in Game Pass. You only get the standard edition, so it's not kind of, they do it a little different.
With Starfield, you were able to do the early access. If you were a Game Pass subscriber, you just paid like the extra $30. You didn't have to pay the whole thing.
Right? Exactly.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the Game Pass number thing.
Yeah, I think there's also trying to remember. So I think it's a little like, not all subscription services do it the same. For example, Ubisoft Plus gives you the ultimate editions to everything. So any DLC they come out with, any and everything is all there. So I guess that's where it's a bit different for them. They give you the standard versions of their games. And any DLC or whatever, not always, now that I think about it, because I remember, I think with State of Decay 2, when they came out with the Juggernaut edition that had like all the additional DLC, I think all that was in Game Pass, but I think that was a very different situation because State of Decay 2 it got better, but it had a rocky start because of all the bugs and issues. And so, I think they kind of felt incentivized to put it all in Game Pass to kind of try to get more people to play the game. So I don't know.
Yeah. So it's no telling with this. Hey, one thing I want to ask them. So I've been watching your gameplay of the beta here. I think the last hypothesis I'll offer is, even though this shouldn't be the case with the long development time that they've had, you know, in relative terms to a normal Call of Duty development cycle, right? Treyarch had the full time to crank this out. I mean, the other reason could possibly be the campaign's coming in hot, right? And so the team's not being pushed, right? They're needing the time right up until the very last minute to let it out. But I'm watching your gameplay here. I don't see Omni movement.
Because I wasn't using it. I wasn't really using it like that. But yeah, it's one. I would say the movement is still better. It's better than Modern Warfare 3, which was better than Modern Warfare 2. But it's I just actually just as I've said that I just used it just then. If you and I think this was very early in the beta, so I was still kind of getting used to what weapons to use and the movement and whatnot. But once you, I think the skill gap is going to grow with Call of Duty with this one, because once you master the Omni movement, if you're just like average player to below average player, you're gonna have a really, really hard time killing people who've really mastered it.
So you think it's gonna grow? I was actually thinking it's gonna close. Like I feel like this is a thing that, you know, tryhards are gonna get down early, but then like the longer the normals play, they'll eventually like catch on, and then it'll then you'll see a little more parity.
I think it will get. I think it will help some people kind of like get good, because you're gonna have to in order to kind of not just get washed. But I think, considering how I've seen people kind of like complain about things and drop games when the multiplayer really starts to kind of like people really get their feet with it and a meta starts to develop. Yeah, I just kind of feel like there's some people that are going to have some issues here, and I know this is really like not a huge sample size because it was just one match, but earlier this week, over the past week, me and a buddy of mine played Warzone. I never played Warzone. The last time I played Warzone may have been for Modern Warfare 2, and I played with can't remember his name, but I played with a guy that is really good at shooters and one of his buddies. But I played some Warzone, and and maybe this is just me, but I feel like people go to Warzone to kind of escape the getting worked in multiplayer. Like, and I'm not saying that's everybody. That's clearly, there's just people who just prefer it. It's a battle royale. It's different. They know the maps. It's not small arena with, you know, shorter matches, and like in multiplayer. But and maybe it was you know, skill-based matchmaking that had it like this. But we did a match and I'm literally like freaking going off on the entire lobby. We were like in a warehouse and people just kept flooding in and I'm just murdering everyone. And I'm just like, this is so much easier than multiplayer. It's in my mind. So I just kind of feel like people will find their ways to kind of go do something else or play something else if they don't really if they start to get worked over. They'll play zombies. They'll play Warzone. They'll play a different game altogether. But I guess we'll see how it turns out. But I just kind of feel like it's just going to have the skill gap grow a little bit further than where it is right now, with just your typical slide canceling kind of, you know, Call of Duty movement. Like this is just going to really kind of put people who aren't really that great at the game a little bit further back. But we'll see. I mean, because there's going to be so many people who are going to play it because they want to know what the movement's about. It's in Game Pass. We'll see what happens, but I just kind of feel like it's the skill gap will grow a little bit further. Forte, before we move on, what are your thoughts on that about Omni movement and all that stuff, and whether that's going to close the gap or lengthen it?
Oh no, it's gonna. I think everybody is going to. Well, at least the people that jump in day one, I think they're gonna feel like it's the best thing ever, because it does kind of free you up to be able to be reckless on the battlefield. But the longer people play the game, you know, by the time we get into like the second and probably the third and fourth week, it's going to be, people are going to feel just like they felt like in every other Call of Duty if they don't put enough time and effort into learning like blind spots, you know, peak points and stuff like that, places that you can dive out and surprise people at. There's things that's going to happen in the game that people don't even realize yet as they play it. So the skill gap's definitely going to widen. You know, the people don't understand. Gun skill is one thing. Movement is like the most important thing in a gun game. It's like the way you move around a map, and this game is promoting movement at a high level. So,
knowing the map, knowing to keep looking at the map so that you know where enemies are. It's you know, I mean, and I'm not saying it like I'm a great, like, you know, shooter player. I'm just saying that those are the things, like those things that I struggle with all the time. You remembering to keep looking at the map and stuff like that. But it's just you know, it's all part of the process. But you know, if you are setting your ways and you're not open to learning and open to when you get match made with like really good players, if you're not up to the challenge and or doing what I do, I look at videos of like better players than me, and I see what they talk about and see what they're doing, and then I try to incorporate that into what I'm doing.
You know what I started doing? So it happened to you just in your gameplay where you jumped down and killed the guy that was running between the train buses and stuff, and you got shot in the back. I've been kind of teaching myself to not just jump down randomly to chase a kill, because that, I mean, you know, you knew you was gonna get that kill. That's why you was trying to get it.
Yeah, I'm hype. You know, I'm hyper aggressive.
Yeah, you're hyper. So you chased that dude down and jumped off the thing and didn't even have to do that. So what I've been doing is, you know, and this goes back to like what you were just saying about just learning the maps, you being disciplined in your gameplay. I've been teaching myself to hold back. So like, instead of me jumping down like you did, I would peer back down that alley that's behind you, because you were already in an elevated position. Peer back down the alley before you jump down. You could have caught that dude that was going to shoot you in the back, and then you could have still chased that other dude down. So it's like the rabbit. It's like chasing the rabbit foot and stuff. I've been really thinking about that in Call of Duty. I was like, because you get killed in the back so much in Call of Duty. And I'm like, I don't want to get shot in the back no more. So what I did was I was like, okay, unless it's an easy kill and I don't have to move the position that I'm at, meaning like if I'm a elevated position, the dude runs underneath me, I can just shoot him. Then I'll take that shot. But if that dude like bends a corner, I'm not going to take that shot. I'm going to look around me before I jump down to chase after him to make sure I can get that kill without getting killed myself.
A habit that I'm trying to unlearn, and this is not just in Call of Duty. I do this in almost every shooter, and it's something that I kind of like, a bad habit I developed recently, is firing at someone when I'm not in a position to actually kill them. So like I'll see someone, I got the drop on them, but they may just kind of like turn the corner or behind a rock or something like that. And I have a habit of firing and giving myself away too soon. And then I give up my position, and then someone shoots me. Someone else that's not even that person shoots me in the back. And so, I gotta stop doing that. It's little things. That but all that's the part of the process. Exactly. It's about learning, and I think there's some people that just want to. This is why there's so many damn cheaters in these games, because people want a shortcut. They don't want to learn. They don't want to get better. They just want to dominate everyone and feel good about themselves. Which, I mean, I don't know how their personal life is, but.
Man, not like this.
Hey, I don't know, man. You know, they might be on the short side of some things if that's the kind of like energy you want. But I'm just saying that this is what people do and this is why there's like a significant number of cheaters in this game as well as other games that are popular, and it's all because people just, you know, they don't want to take the time to get better. They just want to skip to the end. So it is what it is. Yeah. So let's move on. That was a good discussion though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about Nintendo.
People thought this was over.
I knew this was coming. I told people this was coming.
This was over.
I told people they were going to do this. Like, I don't know. And look, I ain't got no Nintendo. I ain't got no Palworld gameplay because Palworld sucks as far as I'm concerned. That game stinks. And so I don't have any gameplay for that. So I'm going to put up more Splitgate 2 Alpha gameplay because game's cool. So Nintendo has filed a suit against Pocket Pair, the developer of Palworld, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, that is, and saying that the developer of Palworld has infringed upon multiple Pokemon patents. Nintendo also, for people who don't remember, has successfully sued a Chinese developer who made a Pokemon knockoff, and they won that suit for the tune of $15 million. Game probably wasn't that big to begin with, but still, you know how petty Nintendo is. One of the patents Nintendo claims has been infringed is a patent that, and I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen one. This patent was considered valid in Japan and registered in Japan in last year in 2023. The depiction of this patent, there's like a picture of it, is a humanoid person throwing a box at an animal, which we all know what that is. That's you throwing the Pokeball at a Pokemon. Now, clearly, if they got a patent there and is registered and valid, we know that with Palworld, there's definitely some of that going on where you're throwing. I'm pretty sure they call it something different. I can't remember, but you're catching animals in the same manner.
Palorb.
Stupid. You do that in Palworld too. So clearly, this is this is why they filed their suit in Japan, because they got a patent in Japan for something that is a behavior that you do that you design into a game. So all that said,
sorry, just wondering, a Pal Sphere. Sorry,
Pal Spear instead of a Pokeball. Okay, so it's yeah. I see a lot of pushback on this, saying that that you can't sue them for taking inspiration from you. They didn't steal your designs exactly.
Oh my god.
Pokemon itself has stole designs from other games. There's been all kinds of stuff out there. But at the very base of this entire thing is that I told y'all Nintendo was going to do this. The people, I remember when Palworld first came out. And yeah, I'm gonna have to get in a little bit into some of y'all. Cause y'all just, I don't understand how people decide that like this game is exclusive for my platform by accident. So now I'm going to cap for this game like no other. And it's just like, no, like Xbox had nothing to do with this game for the most part. They didn't publish it. They didn't put no money into it. They didn't develop it. It was an accidental success as far as they're concerned, and the bigger portion of the game's success and sales came on Steam, not even on Xbox. The version on Xbox, PC, and Xbox was multiple builds behind the actual Steam version for the longest time, and all that. I say the game is a piece of garbage as far as I'm concerned, a buggy, glitchy mess. That, I mean, it's just for people who loved it. You love Pokemon with guns and and other elements that are there, sure. Or like shout out to Death Singer, who you enjoy enslaving humans, because you can do that in the game too. Like that I guess the appeal to it, but the people who are upset at Nintendo for being Nintendo, I'm just like, yo, they're Nintendo. This is what they do. You should not be shocked. Look what they did to Yuzu. And when Nintendo files to sue you, when Nintendo goes in on you, they don't do it on a humble. They don't do it with, well, maybe we'll win. No, they know they're going to win when they do it. It's like when the same talk came up when they sued Yuzu. And they was like, oh, well, they can't, they're not going to get Yuzu. Yuzu hasn't broken any laws. They were in Yuzu's Discord. They saw the messages. Nintendo don't play when it comes to this stuff. So no one should be shocked. And also, this doesn't change what's going to happen. Like, the game's still going to come out on PlayStation. I don't know why people acting like, oh, well, this means it won't come to PlayStation. No, it's still going to come to PlayStation. It doesn't change any of those things. But Pocket Pair also, they're not a broke company, so
no, they're not.
they can fight this legally. But
I think they should settle.
Yeah, they should probably do that. They should probably just settle. Because
like, let's take the little money we did make off this and do something else.
Yeah, because I don't think that they're going to win this. Logic, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think probably the first point of confusion some people might have, because it's the first question I asked when I saw the headline. I was like, patent infringement. I mean, this should be a copyright case. And as it turns out, it's not a copyright case, and I believe deliberately so, because a copyright case is much harder to prove. I think, and I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. I will say the opinion I've heard about rendered by a person who is, again, sounds to me like one of his bad takes, which seem always to be rooted in something other than an actual understanding of the law. I mean, so the patent stands. I mean, you can be, and a judge, again, I think I've forgotten more than I ever learned about patent law when I was watching and studying, keeping track of the Samsung Apple patent case. That would have been like a decade ago now. But I actually have had several systems engineers who worked for me who had come out of the patent office. There was a big group of them that worked up there, and when they all defected, they all defected kind of together and came to work for my company, and then like told their buddies to come work there too. So they and I had often had conversations about this stuff. But if I remember correctly, like the judge could be mad or not agree with the fact that Nintendo has a patent, but he or she can't do anything about it. Like, as far if I remember correctly, and again, I may very well not, I don't think anything can be done to undo the existence of the patent. You can feel that the patent is frivolous. You can feel that the patent shouldn't stand on its merits, but I don't think anything can be done there that may gate the severity of any penalty that they leverage. But I don't think they can out and out like rule for the case in the favor of Pocket Pair, because they don't like the fact that the patent exists. The patent exists, and the patent exists for the specific implementation. And look, PAL spears are Pokeballs. Like, there's no getting around that. Like,
yeah, like, come on now.
Zero question.
Where they get the idea from? Where they got the idea from? Like, cut the cat.
I mean, not just the idea. Like, they literally function almost exactly the same way that Pokeballs do. So from my layman's perspective, this seems a relative slam dunk, and it seems to be. And look, Nintendo's lawyers are the closest. Again, I do a lot of. I don't do as many comparisons to Nintendo and Apple. I do a lot of comparisons to PlayStation and Apple in the way Sony operates. But Nintendo's lawyers are, I would put them right up there with Apple's legal team. And the way this case has been, I mean, they deliberately didn't go after them for copyright. They went after them for patent. This patent is like Like, look, some intern was burning the midnight oil to do the research to find that this was the thing to hang them up on, right? And this is a patent that was filed in conjunction with Pokemon Arceus. So I don't think there's any out, right, in this case. I agree with you, Forte. Like, I would just look, this is Nintendo's going after Pokepair in this case is like it's like when Yoda showed up in the cave with Darth Tyrannus, took out the lightsaber and started doing flips. Look, I've always said Yoda would have done that. I'd have put my lightsaber back in my pocket. Yeah. And I said, bro, no, you got it, bro.
You got it. You got it, bro.
We gonna turn the lights out here. This ain't going down today. Yeah, that's what I would be doing right now.
So yeah, I mean, the thing that's going to be most interesting to me isn't whether or not Nintendo's going to win this case, but it's a matter of like, you know, how Pokepair is going to deal with it. If they're going to do, like you said, just close up and go home. And to be quite honest, I mean, the interesting thing is the off ramp for them. Normally what you would do in this case of patent, like you had with the Samsung and Apple, like for instance, one of the patents that hung Samsung up was about the bounce at the bottom of a web page scroll. Right, there was I can't remember exactly how it was, but when you would scroll to the bottom of a web page on an iPhone, then I think you would get this elastic bounce at the end, and the Samsung browser would do the exact same thing. So the skate for Samsung was to just change that implementation so that you would scroll to the bottom of the web page and you wouldn't get a bounce. Right, it was that simple. I don't know that it's going to be that simple for Pokepair, so that's the interesting thing for me to see, because they could just take PAL spheres out of the game. They could just change, tweak a small element of the implementation of PAL sphere, and right there have a differentiated implementation. I don't know if they're going to get away.
They need to change it easily and make it so your character literally tackles the animals, like just chases them down and just straight tackles them like they're on the football field and just holds them down for like 5 seconds, and then you've tamed them. Make it different somehow, where you're not throwing a ball at them, because clearly you got that whole entire thing from Pokemon. Let me throw this to you guys, because when I saw this, I said, you know what? I know why they waited this long. Because they wanted to make sure. They said we can sue them in April and make we can make some good money off of that. Or, we can sue them once the sales have died down and we can see the maximum amount of money we can get them for, and make sure we make an example out of them. That's why I think they waited until now, and that's why I've always thought like they're gonna sue them eventually, because like the game's blowing up. I think maybe the game with the most sales, actually I think Wukong might have passed them by now, but they're somewhere like in the 20 million, right, in units sold this year. I know Nintendo was just like, yeah, keep going, yeah, great. I'm so happy for you. You, yeah, so happy. Okay, now we're suing you because your sales stop. You guys didn't sell no more. Good. Yeah, we're filing a suit against you guys. How much did you make? Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna take like a cool billion off you. How about that? Like, this makes sense to me. Am I off here? I don't know. Anybody? Forte? No, I was saying, am I off in thinking that like they waited until now so that they could basically sue them for the maximum amount they could?
Over. I was like, when everybody thought when Nintendo didn't do anything and they put out the cease and desist and everything, and they didn't come back and follow up on it, that it was over. And I'm like, bro, Nintendo is sitting in the weeds waiting for the right time to strike like a python out of the grass. And here it is. Like, they're not gonna just let you just infringe on their intellectual property and get away with it. It was just so blatant when you just like looked at some of the character models and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you could have tried a little bit harder. So, and then Nintendo doesn't want the character, granted, they gave people that love Pokemon what Nintendo will never give them. So I get that, but it don't mean somebody should do it. So, hey, I think they should literally, whatever little profits they did make, I feel like they should take those profits and run to the hills and settle with Nintendo and drop this IP and be done with it forever and go and make something else.
Oh no, I don't think I mean, the game has been too successful for them to just drop the IP. I think what they'll do, because they already said they're working on a Palworld 2.
Okay, yeah,
it's gonna be different.
Are those
it's gonna be
different?
Yep.
Yeah. So the one thing.
How much different?
Well, I mean, that was
different enough now to get sued.
Going back to the thing I said earlier, right? I started off by saying they didn't go after them for copyright because copyright is much more difficult to prove. You have to be able to show there was an intent, right, to copy, and it has to be in a world where, what hung Apple up with Samsung is Apple going after Samsung because they made a slab of a phone. Right, and that quickly got written off because it was like, well, what the hell else were they supposed to do? Like make an orb, right? So when you go after people for copyright, and again, they were going after them as part of like the patent infringement. The point being, Apple didn't have a patent on like a slab of a phone, but with copyright, again, you have to show intent and you have to show that it's not just a design approach that is like in the zeitgeist or is just part of the kind of the thematic approach to right. What I will say is the reason you go after them for patent is because when you have a lock wired case like they have, in my opinion, in their case, where there's an unquestionable similarity between Pal Spears and Pokeballs, and you can prove that, you can step aside to then say, and oh, by the way, they're also guilty of copyright infringement because now I've shown that there was a willful intent to copy our IP. Right, by virtue of me winning the patent case. So yeah, so from here, right, now you get to a position where you can start driving them into the corner, and that may push them in the direction of, like you said, Forte, where they go, well, maybe we just need to, because our entire look and aesthetic now is entirely wrapped around, being a similar to Pokemon.
Good point.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say about this before we get into the the big kahuna, the big topic that everyone keeps talking about over the past week?
The multi-layered topic that keeps giving.
And so Sony has finally announced the existence of the PlayStation 5 Pro, which we've known has been in existence for over a year now. Tom Henderson, I believe, is the first to report on this, and he is batting perfect because whoever his source is in PlayStation hardware is deep throat. Pause. If you know what I mean when it comes to breaking everything and just snitching on all the information, because he got the PS Portal correct. He got the PlayStation Slim refresh with the detachable disk drive correct, and he got this PS5 Pro correct. So this is going to be coming out in November, and the price is Forte. You are correct. I will own it. I said it wouldn't be over $650. Forte said it would be $700. Forte was right. But one thing that we were both wrong about, you thought it would be $700 with that disk drive.
Sure did.
And this is $700 without it. So here are the breakdowns for the numbers here. You have $699 for just the PS5 Portal itself. I said Portal, sorry, PS5 Pro itself. If you want that vertical stand that they show in the trailer, that's another $30. If you are someone that's coming from the original standard PlayStation 5 and you have a physical library, you may be a bit put out that you have to spend an additional $80 for that. So if you really want the full PlayStation experience with the player for physical disc, with the vertical stand, $810 is what you're looking at. And so this has been a point of debate in the gaming community. From the trailers, we've seen that the like to dislike ratio on YouTube has not been kind. It's been 85% for the most dislike. A lot of the polls that people have been putting out there, from big to small, social footprints, have been mostly skewed towards not liking it and not saying they're going to buy one. We can just, I'm trying to think about the best ways to go. Let me break down some of dispel some of the nonsense out here before we really discuss. Y'all gotta stop listening to these daggone charlatans, man. Y'all gotta stop listening to these fake tech people that act like they know what they talking about. Just because you work at Best Buy and Geek Squad does not mean you are a hardware engineer, okay? Does not mean you know anything about any of this stuff. I am sick and tired of seeing these people, the same people who back in 2020 was talking teraflops and acting like the teraflop number was all that mattered. Oh, this is going to be more powerful than that because of the teraflop number, even though that is a useless metric when it comes to game development. Same people who went around saying these consoles, which are having games running at 30 FPS, not all of them, but some games running at 30 FPS, these same consoles were somehow going to be more powerful than at that time, not even the best GPU at that time, because NVIDIA's 3000 series came out right before the consoles did. So not even last generation PC's GPUs was it more powerful then. The same people saying, oh, this is going to be on par with a 2080 Ti. These same people are telling you that this PS5 Pro is on par with a freaking 4070. Arrogantly speaking about these things, and y'all continue to fall for it. But it's instead of the same people that 4 years ago called that guy a clown, and the other people who say those things clowns are championing them now. Come on, bro. What are we doing here? Here's the reality. Here's the reality of the PS5 Pro. The CPU side of things is still a Zen 2 CPUs only. It's overclocked a little bit. It's 10% faster. The GPU is where the significant upgrades are. It said, now, these are Sony's words. This is Mark Cerny. Up to. I'm going to repeat that part. Up to.
I love it. Here we go.
Not right there at 45% all the time. Freaking up to, which means because it's an APU, sometimes it's not going to be a 45% uplift and better than the PS5. Not all games are made the same. It's not always it's freaking up to, which everyone wants to ignore. Up to 45%. And if it's up to 45%, when we already know that the PS5's GPU was on par with a RX 6700, being up to 45% means that it is up to a RX 6800. Now, we do have to acknowledge it has RDNA 4 elements that are not on PC right now. Now, let me clarify that, because there are some dum-dums that are going around saying, hey, PS5 Pro got stuff the PC ain't got yet. Shut up, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop opening your mouth. It has elements that AMD GPUs don't have yet. Machine learning, AI, upscaling, NVIDIA been doing that since 2019. Thanks for catching up. Better ray tracing, real ray tracing, not Dollar Tree ray tracing like AMD's been doing. Well, NVIDIA's been there. Even Intel has better ray tracing than AMD. The pisser upscaler, the PSSR, it likely would be better than FSR, and from what we've been seeing from people like Digital Foundry, it's better than FSR. That does not mean it's on par with DLSS. Just because it has machine learning, just because it has hardware-based ray tracing does not mean it's on par with a upscaler that has been doing that since the very beginning. And if people don't remember, DLSS 1.0 was not good. It was terrible. It didn't get good to DLSS 2.0. So you just telling me that just straight out the gate, Sony's going to come in and know exactly how to do upscaling better than they're just going to skip all the learning that NVIDIA had to do to get to the point where they are to be right on par with them. More than likely, that's not the case. So all that needs to be said, it's not on par with a 4070. It's likely definitely better than RX 6800 because of the ray tracing and because of the of potentially better upscaling. But you're really not going to have a PC comparison on the GPU side of things until AMD drops RDNA 4 early next year or later this year, whatever. It's got a 2 terabyte drive, which is great for storage. And I mean, that's really about it. They showed that, I think their presentation was not that great. They showed a bunch of old games that people have been played. And I will reiterate something that a lot of people have said multiple times about Xbox when it comes to this stuff. Why are you dropping hardware with no games? To show off that hardware. We said that about the Xbox One X. We said that about the Xbox Series X. And we're going to say it about the PS5 Pro. Because it's the same thing. Forte, you want to mute your mic while you coughing in the mic?
I unmuted my mic. I was already muted. Sorry.
I will reiterate this again because all I heard was coughing from Forte. We said that about the Xbox One X. We said that about the Xbox Series S. We're going to say that about the PS5 Pro. Why are you dropping hardware with no games? So all that needs to be said. And before I talk about whether I'm going to get it or not, I need to talk about some of my PC brethren real quick. Cause y'all really disappointed me. I don't know why some of y'all seem to be so like triggered when new hardware comes out. Like I don't know what the need is to be like, hey, your hardware is still weaker than my PC. Well, duh. It's a console. I mean, duh. Like, it's not supposed to be better than the most powerful PC out there with the best components out there. Like, who are you talking to? Yes, you got the dummy-os on consoles that's saying, hey, it's gonna be on par with a 4090. Nobody believes them. They're talking to themselves. Because no one believes anything they have to say. Just ignore them. And making these disgusting, just completely ridiculous looking $700 PC builds. You wouldn't play that. The same people suggesting these builds got over $3,000 build they play their games on. Why are you suggesting someone build a PC someone who's a console gamer. So like they're less inclined to want to build something. Why are you suggesting they build a PC that you wouldn't play instead of just buying a PS5 Pro? What are y'all doing? Y'all look really silly out here. And for the fanboys Xbox fanboys that is, who have never built a PC before. Matter of fact, don't even know what comes in a freaking PC. I'm about to throw stuff in my damn office. Don't know jack about PC gaming. Why are you creating in PC Part Picker, creating PC builds and telling people you should build this instead of getting a PS5, and you don't know the difference between RAM and VRAM? Sit your dumb. Stop talking. Just stop talking about PC. Stick to capping for a platform. Don't talk about hardware that you've never touched before. Don't talk about something you've never done before. Just stop talking about this stuff, period. You got embarrassed, and good, because you deserved it. Have I hit everyone? I think I shot at everybody. I think I've taken shots at enough people in enough camps already. Am I getting one? No. Absolutely. I'm not getting the PS5 Pro, and I'm not getting that anniversary edition. It looks very nice. I still ain't getting it. I don't know why there are people today that saw the anniversary edition and then said, hey, $700 PS5 Pro? I'm not buying that. That's not worth it. Oh, wait a minute now.
$1,200 bundle?
$1,200 bundle? That's all me. What are you talking about? Like, are you, wait, what? So all they had to do was paint it gray to get you to buy it? Like, are y'all insane? What are you talking about?
They just forgot what they said last week. Like
it's just
say.
Retro colors. That's all. Well, why don't PlayStation just do that forever? Just everything they drop is retro colored PS1 looking, because you're gonna buy it because you just don't have the ability to stay consistent for longer than 5 seconds. So go off, fam. Go ahead and get that. What are we doing here? I'm not getting one, but I do understand people who want one. And I'll say this, and then you Forte, a lot of you guys can go, because I know I've been talking for a minute. When it's your primary platform, people will make incremental upgrades. I can't tell someone who is a primary PlayStation platform gamer, you shouldn't buy this. That's not worth it, when it is priced appropriately for the kind of hardware that it is. It's not overpriced, and it's just not subsidized anymore. And that sticker shock, I don't think is going to sell great, because console gamers don't buy things that's I think that sticker shock is going to scare people. And casual gamers who not really into all this stuff like we are, they typically don't buy the most expensive thing. And then within the hardcore community, we see how people have been moving in regards to it. I don't think it's going to sell great. But that said, like, if you are interested in buying it, well, good for you. I hope you get it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's everything that you anticipate it to be. Because I can't tell someone, don't buy that, when I have bought 4 GPUs in the past 5 years. SloMo's not a hypocrite. My primary platform is PC. I have done, whenever I said, you know what, I ain't got enough VRAM. Upgrade. I ain't got enough RAM. You know what RAM is? Not VRAM. Upgrade. I want to build a new PC. Cause I'm on PCI 3.0 and I need to get on 4.0. I want a better CPU. Upgrade. I have done those things, so I get it. When it's your primary platform, that's what you're going to do. If you see that games look better, and we saw what happened with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it looks better. People are going to make that jump when that's their primary platform. When it's your secondary platform, like PlayStation is for me, yeah, I see no reason to make that upgrade. The PS5 plays games just fine for me. And I'm only playing the exclusive titles that they have on there. So I don't feel the need to make that kind of jump. But if it's your primary platform, I absolutely get it. And I hope you enjoy it. And I don't think anyone should be telling you it's not worth it. Because who are they? That's your wallet. Stop pocket watching them. Mind your business. Let them enjoy what they want to enjoy. Because the same people who are saying it's not worth it are on PC upgrading their GPU every year. The same people who are saying it's not worth it, if there was an Xbox mid-gen refresh, they would have a Scorpion or what's the other one? What was the other one?
The one
with the symbols that, yeah, no, the symbols people was putting in their names, you know, for some stupid reason. You know, y'all do that stuff when it's on your side. If it's your primary platform, you absolutely would do this upgrade. So stop capping. You know how we all know how this works. So let people enjoy things, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. I'm done. Either one of y'all can go.
Are you sure you're done?
I'm done. Got nothing else to say.
Oh yeah, you was cooking, bro. Man, it's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. I'll start like I started when I talked about this last week on Crossfire when I was with Mooch and them. Nothing wrong with a console that's $700. I know sticker shock is a thing, but there's nothing wrong with it, especially when it is appropriately priced for the components that are inside of it. There are some concessions I wish they would have made, like adding at least the stand with it. I mean, I can understand not a disk drive, but you know, at this point, if you're a physical only, you know, consumer, just know that you're gonna be paying tax to stay that way. So that's kind of the first direction that I'll go with it. When it comes to just my overall thoughts of the system and everything, it's not really, it's needed because it's needed to the point where I feel like people are still feeling like their games aren't showcased the way that they want them to showcase, which I can't disagree with, because a lot of games are still showing up, you know, under 4K or under 30 frames per second on a consistent basis, where that was the consideration that was always going around for the whole parts of the generation about, you know, next gen consoles, 4K gaming, 60 frames per second is the goal and everything like that. Even PlayStation had 8K on the box, which they recently just removed off the box because I feel like they just got sued or something for that, and it just hasn't come out. But it's a lot of things that's going on with the direction that they're going with the PS5. You know, Mark Cerny came out and talked about this system was basically made for the developers. It really wasn't made for the consumers in mind. It was made for developers because they talk to them and they feel like they want their games to be seen in a different light. I don't know how long that's going to last. I believe in PlayStation first party kind of living up to that reputation, especially since they have closed development on PlayStation 4 games and they're only next gen when it comes to their development houses. So I expect the PS5 Pro to be very well taken care of when it comes to that. Third party, that's going to be an opt-in battle, and it's going to be an opt-in battle on what they feel like is beneficial to the game that they're making, not to what benefits PlayStation in the games in the system that they're on. Because guess what? They're still going to put their games on PlayStation because it's the only console right here that matters. Now, when it comes to like all this, the conversation around the system and everything, and it being too overpriced or people going out and building PCs that make no sense that you wouldn't even play on, give it a break. Why do you even care? It's like me. Why would I care what a gamer on PlayStation is experiencing when I have, you know, I have a PS5, I have a PC that is one of the strongest PCs out there. And all I have to do is wait for those games to come. Like currently, right now, the only reason I have a PS5 is for God of War. I can play the definitive version of God of War, the latest one today, right now. I don't have to wait for the PS5 to give me a better boost on it. When's the next God of War coming out? I don't know. I was going to buy this system day one due to the fact that I always like having the newest and greatest things. Now I'm kind of taking a step back from it after kind of thinking about it over the course of the last 2 weeks. Mostly thinking like, what are they're not showcasing anything. There's not a reason to go. The only reason you go out and get this system right now is if, like SloMo said, you're deep in the PlayStation ecosystem. It's the only console you really play on, and that's a good upgrade for you, because guess what? Everybody wants better performance. Everybody wants better power. Even the people that don't know they want it, they want it once they see it, once they feel it in their controller, once they see the fidelity of the games without compromising the other half of it. They want that. Now, is it going to live up to that expectation? Maybe at launch. I don't know what the future is going to hold for it, because every system kind of lived up to the launch date of what people were promising. I feel like Red Dead Redemption is the only game that really took advantage of the Xbox One X last generation. Of all the games we got, that was the one that I felt maxed it out. And you could tell by the way the game looked and the way that the game played. So me thinking that developers are really going to do this, I kind of fold my hands on that one. When they announced the next God of War, which I don't think is going to be on PlayStation 5 anyways, I think it's going to be on PlayStation 6 since they already released God of War Ragnarok on PS5 and PS4. Or it could be a cross-gen thing, but I just, for some reason, believe that it's going to be something that's going to be closer to a launch game for PS6, or, after PS6 comes out. That will kind of decide for me what I'll do when it comes to purchasing the console. Because right now there's really no reason, unless I get a stupid trade-in deal for my PlayStation 5, or, God, anything can happen. I don't know. But for me, it's just more of, it's the system's for the people that want it. If you are a person that can afford it, and you're a person that likes tech and you want to stay at the cutting edge and you're a PlayStation fan, absolutely go out there and get it. I ain't gonna lie. I saw that 30th anniversary and I was like, yo, I want that. But I was like, they ain't about to get me like that. $1,200. I said, they're basically just getting you on nostalgia at that point. So PlayStation know what they're doing right now, and that's great, but I feel like they haven't showcased enough reasons why you should have to go out and get this system. Everybody wants it, but do you have to have it? They haven't done a good enough job kind of showcasing that to me yet, but we'll see what happens in the future. But everybody else, just calm down. It's not about you. If you got a PC, wait for the games. If you don't want to wait, buy a PS4. No one's forcing you to buy a PS5 Pro. I think that's kind of being lost on everybody. Just because you don't like some of the stuff that is being said about the PS5 doesn't mean that people's views and opinions aren't valid. Some people just don't feel like the value proposition is there for them, and that's their opinion. That's fine. Don't have to have a back and forth about that either. I just feel like people at a certain point, September 26th is going to come. Initial pre-orders for people to get it on PS Direct. Those people are going to they're going to enjoy the system on day one when they get it. And then on October 4th, October 5th, whatever that date's going to be, it's going to open up to everybody else. You can walk into your favorite retailer, and guess what? You don't even have to tell nobody you have it. Which is probably going to happen anyway, because a lot of people, all these people that kept saying, oh, this system, I don't like it, I'm not going to spend $700 on it. Okay, sure. That's what you say now, and you'll end up with one sooner or later, because that's just the type of people that we be dealing with out here. But that's all I have to say. I just don't understand why people feel like they have to be in everybody else's pocket about what they want to buy and tell them what they should buy and all this other stuff. Conversations are conversations, but sometimes I think, especially on this one, dude, it's a console that costs $700 that don't affect you if you don't buy it. Why does it even matter?
Yeah, it don't affect people, but People can't mind their business. Logic. How do you feel about this, man?
Tell us your logic.
Same thing. Like, I mean, most of my, what I, and I wrote this on Twitter the other day. I mean, this is yet again my disappointment with the gaming conversation that's on Twitter. It really is kind of shaping and forming, you know, my thoughts and consideration for bothering to interact with people. Like, it's so weird that, like, we came onto social media, we came online, right, so that you could find people. Like, the entire reason for doing it, mostly for most gamers, was coming online to find people who were into the same things you were, because the people around you in real life, they're not gamers, right? Your coworkers aren't gamers, your family isn't gamers, your friends, right, aren't necessarily gamers. And then you come online and you don't like you find people who claim that they're gamers, but then they have just these really weird takes and vectors and trajectory of how they think. So I mean, and what has colored the gaming conversation this year is that we spend 99% of our time talking about stuff that isn't even news. And that's the thing that I find frustrating. Like, this is the degree and extent to which this is blown up is not anywhere near commensurate or worthy with the topic. Like, it's a $700 console and we act like it's unprecedented. In 1990, the 3DO came out for $699. In 1993, the Neo Geo came out for $650. In 1995, the Sega Saturn came out for $399. $399 is not a $600 something plus console, but the point is that it was $399 as a mainstream console, when for history preceding that, consoles had been $99, $149, $169, $199, right? So it was still sticker shock to lots of people. We've been hovering around $400 and $500 consoles for 20 years. Anybody with a reasonable outlook on the world would not have the expectation that consoles were going to remain $400 and $500 forever in perpetuity. What we've seen over the last 7 years is that, in contrast to history, none of these consoles have received a price cut at MSRP. For all of the generations prior to this one, typically the slim form factor variants of the console have always come with a price cut. Sega and PlayStation went tooth and nail at each other about price cuts until PlayStation basically drove Saturn off the map with a depth of price cuts that Sega couldn't keep up with. Typically, in generations prior to this one, you also get price cuts commensurate with low sales, right? The one in third place has typically cut their price. Xbox is trailing far behind PlayStation, right, in terms of console sales. They have not cut MSRP on those consoles once. They've done sales and incentives, but they have not done an MSRP price cut. We should recognize that over the last 7 years, it is very clear that the economic conditions and the supply chain, granted disrupted by the pandemic, and then you have a lingering effect of that where there's no time to catch up, right? But that this console generation, economically, the platform owners are doing something different than they've done in the past in response to worldwide economic conditions. And so I don't know that it should have been a surprise. Sticker shock, certainly. But like, just the outright levels of outrage. What I said Sunday night on Enough to Keep Going is people act like NAFTA just got signed, or like some worldwide tariff or trade treaty just got signed that's going to somehow like economically impact the entirety of the country. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal. It's a $700 console. I'm certain it's expected to sell.
And you still have you have a cheaper option. You still have a cheaper option. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm certain it's not expected to sell more than 10% or so, 15% at most of the entire install base over the life cycle of the console. And there will be reasons why there will be consumers who will have interest in it. People who are on PlayStation 4s and probably on PlayStation 4 Pros. because they bought the Pro and then they were like, there's no need for me to upgrade right here in the first half of the generation. You literally have people who plunked down and pre-ordered the Xbox that's coming out in October that has the 2 terabyte drive for $600, complaining about the price of the $100 over that price PlayStation 5 Pro. It's totally ridiculous. And I mean, you know, despite kind of the foolishness that, you know, you were talking about and that I blasted that person for the dumbass, right, console build that they put out that didn't have any RAM in it, quite frankly, in a very experienced tech tuber put out, I don't know that he was putting it out as a recommendation. Maybe he was just saying, you know, this is a thing you could build, right? But that PC that he was talking about, it was built on LGA 1700 socket, which is about to be superseded when Arrow Lake comes out, right? So this is what I've been talking about a lot with these.
You talking about Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, he was definitely serious because he said he's gonna do a follow-up video when he gets his hand on the PS5 Pro so he can do testing or something like that.
Right. I mean, he's recommending a PSU that's 100 watts less than the recommended power rating for a PC build with that GPU, which was a 3060 Ti. Is that possible? Yes. I've done a build with a underrated power supply for an equivalent Radeon GPU. That is me doing that after 20 plus years at the time that I did it of building PCs. You don't give that recommendation to people that you're telling to build PCs for the first time. Right? Lots of disingenuous takes in terms of total cost, right? Saying, oh, it's $700 for the PC, plus you're going to pay like $100 and something whatever dollars for the cost of online. I'm like, why are you junking? I mean, first of all, if you're mad at the person because they're upgrading for the PlayStation 5 Pro, they're already paying for PlayStation Plus. Why are you junking that cost in? And if you are going to junk that cost in terms of total cost of ownership and recommend them a $700 build, you need to be transparent and honest and tell them, yeah, you're also going to be upgrading within 12 to 24 months. And you need to include that price. You need to include the things like, hey, I'm putting you on an LGA 1700 socket. So when you go to upgrade that Intel GPU, you have no upgrade path. You're going to be buying another motherboard, probably more RAM because you're going on DDR4. You're now going to have to bump to DDR5.
We go to DDR5. Yep. Right
on top of the new chip. And I'm like, that's just a lie. Like I wouldn't have felt as caustic about it if they had recommended a Ryzen CPU, right? Because I was on Ryzen, I was on the AM4 socket for the 1000 series CPUs all the way up through the 5000, right? At least that would have some legs to it. But then the other thing on top of this whole thing is that, you know, it's oh, you could build a PC for the same cost, but it's an entirely academic exercise. It's not how people actually build PCs. It's not the actual things that are in our thoughts. When a real PC builder goes to build a PC, they are not looking over their shoulder to see what the consoles are doing. They do not care. Right. It is entirely based upon what parts are available on the market, what their budget is, and what is their own personal thumb rule for the upgrade that they need to receive. I have percentages of performance increase that I need to see. Right? That's what tells me what GPU I land at. I quite frankly have thumb rules about how my GPU is ranked, right, on the board in terms of what is the best performing GPU on the market. And when I go on a GPU, like I have to be within the top 10, right? And I don't spend any less than that. So there are just some GPUs that they're just not even on the board. And this is the other thing that's frustrating is people go, oh, well, the other side, right? The PlayStation players who say, oh, well, but PCs, you spend this much. I'm like, that consumer has already decided that they're going to go high end. I don't walk into a person's house who owns a mansion and give them flack for buying a Bosch dishwasher instead of buying a Maytag. That person already decided to go high end. They're already a high end consumer. Why are you bugging them, right, about how much they spend? That doesn't make any sense. So quite literally, it's been 2 weeks of essentially people lying, right, in order to justify their case, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
And when I string that together through the entirety of the year, and I go all the way to the Xbox business update, the closures of studios, the Bungie problem, Concord, like everything that we have focused on has so little to do with actual games that it's just amazing. We've spent the entire year arguing about business models. And I'm like, you guys, I mean, no offense, you guys aren't MBA, not you guys, but I'm like, you guys aren't MBAs. Like you're not writing some research paper, right, based on these arguments. I'm like, so why are you so emotionally grounded and connected to it? Like it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So yeah, it's when a great game does come out, right, again, we spend all week arguing about why this game shouldn't have gotten the scores that it got, or why this game isn't getting its proper due, instead of people just recording gameplay and just posting it, right, and raising up the games that they enjoy. So yeah, it's been bad.
That's too boring. That's too boring. you can't do that. No, that's not what people want. Logic. People want drama. People want to pick at things. What can we find that's negative about this game? Oh my, it's got great Metacritic scores, so we can't pick on that. It's just, what's the game length? How long is the game? It's just,
yeah. As a good friend of mine mentions, because gamers on Twitter love the drama, the gossip, and the bullshit. That's her triumvirate of what rules the gaming conversation. I mean, to answer the principal question, I understand that it's going to cause sticker shock. I agree with you guys that again, where economic conditions in the world, these companies aren't going to slash prices, and so if you say, hey, the PlayStation 5 is staying at $500, then what should we charge for this one? $700 it's a thing to do, right? I'm glad that they put a 2 terabyte drive in it, because that was the first thing that was going to drive me off the deep end of being salty, is if another one of these things had come out with a 1 terabyte drive, given that the PlayStation 5 has been stingy and like you haven't even had access to that whole 1 terabyte. And then the last time when they came out with the Slim, they were like, oh, we're giving you storage back. I'm like, you guys are full of poo poo. Right? So at least they did that. My personal feeling is this thing's gonna, as I always say, this thing's gonna come out on the market. The market's gonna respond. If the supplier doesn't like the response, then they'll do something about it, right? We forget that the Nintendo 3DS launched at $250, and in 6 months, Nintendo didn't see what they wanted to see from that thing, moving the needle on the market, and so they dropped the price down to $170. Right? So the supplier is going to decide, and if the supplier doesn't make any change, they're going to get punished for it, just like PlayStation has been punished for the PSVR 2. Right? They put the thing out, it wasn't well supported, they didn't cut the price on it, and now they're having to do something else about it to liquidate that inventory, right? To move those units. So, yeah. I mean, I just don't think it's that big a deal. I'm not personally buying what I was going to, just like I did with the PlayStation 4 Pro. And this is where I'm going to say that I disagree with you guys a little bit, just in terms of perspective and outlook. When the PlayStation 4 Pro launched in 2016, in my opinion, there also were not the games to justify and warrant, right, its release. But I felt it was put out there, it was seeded, the developers were, had it as a hardware target. And over time, what we got Horizon Zero Dawn, TLU 2, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and there's a fifth one that I'm forgetting, right? But there were 5 games in the latter half of that generation that, quite frankly, in my opinion, really defined PlayStation at that time in its history, and have gone on to really be the thing that we associate with PlayStation, even going into this generation. So they were big games. They were important games on the market, on the industry, in the art form. So my personal feeling was, the way I was going to approach it was I was going to let the PlayStation 5 Pro come out, and then in a year, I was going to see if that level of those 5 games, right, were announced and were on the horizon, and then reevaluate whether or not I wanted to buy one. But like I said, I've since made the decision to go PC only, so I won't be buying one at all.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Like I said, my biggest thing is they show. I mean, they show what it can do. It's just the game that I would want to play. Who knows when it's coming? So at that point, I'm like, the only reason I have one is mostly to play for first party. And as much as I like the graphical fidelity and I love the overall, and the games are never not going to look good. That's the one thing I want everybody to kind of understand. PlayStation released their first party games. For the most part, they run great on their base system. They look great on there. They run great on there. So
they really always have a performance mode,
and they always,
unlike some other platforms.
Exactly. So I don't feel like I have to upgrade to get at least a decent experience or a good experience on PlayStation to still enjoy the games. And then I can wait. And then, like you said, Logic, a year later, if with the cadence they've been going on, shoot, you might see those games on PC. And then at that time, if you want to play them again, I'd rather just buy the game again on PC instead of paying $700 to get a system that is going to give me less performance than the PC version is going to give me at that point. Because it's like more of a catch-22, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
it depends on where you're sitting in that pecking order. If you already have the console, this isn't like Xbox. Xbox kind of shown us over the course of the last 3-4 years, performance be damn, we don't care. And I'm like, well, all your games are on PC day one. Why do I need to have an Xbox? So it made it an easy decision to just say, yo, if it's not available on Xbox, if it's available on Xbox and PC, I'm just going to buy it on PC. Whereas PlayStation,
I got the complete opposite. When you're done, I got a suggestion.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm just ranting.
If y'all hear anyone else say this, they got it from me, okay? They got it from me. I think partially the reason why this PS5 Pro is here, and I'm not saying a date when this happens, but imagine Sony decides to go completely day and date on PC at some point in the future. You now have better hardware out there that, although is expensive, $700 is not cheap. And if you want the full experience, $810, not cheap. But that's still cheaper than a comparable PC that would give you, more performance, right? But a comparable experience, yeah, you're gonna have to spend more on PC. And so to avoid what we've seen with the Xbox platform, where they went day and date with all their first party games, and we've seen a lot of Xbox gamers go become primarily PC gamers, because it's like, well, look, hey, if you're gonna have the games over there, I want the best experience. There are people who are like that. But imagine if they do that, well, hey, their argument could be, hey, PlayStation gamer, before you decide to go buy a pre-built PC for $1,500, $1,600, take a look at that PS5 Pro. You want a better experience? You want a nice, pretty picture with 60 frames per second? We'll give you that. You want upscalers? We got our own upscaler. We got PSSR. You want better ray tracing? We'll give you better ray tracing than you'll get anywhere else in console gaming. Just buy a PS5 Pro instead of going on PC, which doesn't mean that they don't care about PC, but I think they have learned something that we all knew, that the PC community is different than the console community. And there are people who like the freedom of PC, and there are people who really don't want to be bothered with any of that, and they're somewhat scared of PC. They're scared of maintaining it, even though they don't really quite know how streamlined things are now. But they don't want to deal with all of that, and they don't want to learn to deal with all that. They like console gaming, They don't even know that they could take their PC and connect it to their TV in their living room or their, or their dining, their den or whatever. They want their console there, and they can stay that way. It can stay that way and still get a better experience. And so, even though, for the most part, the price point is because they're not subsidizing console no more. And now that doesn't, like, the people who making the argument about, well, you spend, $1,600 on your iPhone. That's a dumb argument. People do far more than just gaming on their iPhone. It's literally a part of their life. Like, people use their phone for everything, far more than what they do with a video game console. So therefore, it's not the same value to them. And most people subsidize their cell phone purchase through their carrier, so they're not even paying the $1,600 upfront. So it's not comparable whatsoever. But $700 is a lot cheaper than going the PC route. And when you're already targeting this towards the enthusiast crowd, you're targeting this towards people who have the financial means and the motivation to spend that kind of money. Not that I think they will, because I do think the sticker shock is going to be a hindrance to this SKU, but I think that was their approach. Not saying that they're definitely going to go day and date on PC anytime soon, but if it's something that's internally on the table, well, hey, maybe we'll do that once we get the launcher out. We'll have a better presence on PC. We can try to push towards that. This is a way of keeping those console gamers on the console side, where you're getting that 30% that you enjoy in revenue off of third-party games. Just an idea. If someone steals it, you know who they stole it from. That's all I got. You guys got anything else before we get up out of here?
The one other thing I'll mention is I made reference to that example of Nintendo with the 3DS and them lowering the price. The one thing I will say that makes things strategically difficult, I think, for PlayStation, it'll be interesting to see how they play it, is if they try to do that this time, because market response isn't great, I think they've got a problem to figure out how to negotiate by. And I will also say, I think both Xbox and PlayStation have had problems with messaging. I feel like PlayStation's was mostly back in the, in the times when Jim Ryan was just coming to power. Sean Layden's messaging was bad at the end of his tenure, and Jim's was bad through the first half of his, until he kind of stopped talking as much. But I think PlayStation messaging has been better overall since then. I think Xbox has gotten themselves into a very bad trend in terms of their messaging, but I don't give PlayStation enough credit for them to be able to negotiate past the notion of reducing the price on the PlayStation 5 Pro after this launch, because the problem they're going to run into is then all the people who bought, all the early adopters who bought in early, are going to be salty. And I don't know exactly how they deal with that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, law of supply and demand, the laws of economics are absolute truths, and suppliers and buyers do act and behave along those lines. But I will say that that is a problem that they will have to figure out, is if they put this thing out, it doesn't even hit their internal metrics of what they want it to hit. And I do think this is there's much more of a strategic objective around what the PlayStation 5 Pro is supposed to achieve, much less of a sales number that they need to hit. But if they're not hitting those objectives, and the way to contend with that is to lower the price, I do think that that's something that they're not going to have as much. I mean, Nintendo got burned for it a little, but the outcry wasn't as great from its early adopters as I think it will be for the people who go early on PlayStation 5 Pro. So it'll be interesting to see how PlayStation figures that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think the PSVR 2 price cut really helped with sales at all. At least, I mean, I have no metrics on that or statistics to show otherwise. I'm just spitballing that. I don't know if they decide to drop price, how if that would be a good idea for them. I do think it would be far more. I think it would help with sales a bit better than the PS, because I think PS VR has its own set of issues. I think it's something that is it's a market that's far better on PC, as far as the number of gamers that are interested in it than on console. So maybe that has some level of degree to why things are where they are with PSVR 2, but yeah, I guess it would depend on when they would do a price cut as well, because if things don't go well, and I anticipate like they're going to initially sell the PS5 Pro on PS Direct first, and then kind of trickle it out to slowly to the other retailers like Forte, with GameStop and Best Buy, Target, Walmart, all of them. But I don't think they're gonna make a huge number of them compared to what the PS5 Slim is. You know, I don't think they're gonna make enough where they're gonna be looking at like a bunch of them in a warehouse waiting to be ordered. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they kind of anticipate that it's not gonna be something that's going to overtake what the potentially like a PS5 digital costs, and the number of units they move on that. So we'll see what happens though. Let's get up out of here because my throat's starting to hurt. Anything else you guys want to say about this before we get into outros?
No, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Logic, thank you for joining us once again. Let the fine people know where to find you. Definitely with Enough to Keep Going podcast and your Twitter account, where you know you drop a lot of knowledge out there for people to enjoy and consume.
Yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do less of that gear going forward. Again, as I go PC only, I'll have less to comment on businesses in the console space. So Sunday nights at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, though, you can definitely catch up with me on the, as mentioned, the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast over on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. Did I say 8:45 p.m. Eastern? 8:45 p.m. ish, I should say. We were frequently late, so. Just something always seems to blow up, go wrong, technical, kids not going to bed, dog being a problem, whatever. So we give ourselves that 15-minute window, but when we say we will be there, we will always be there for the most part. Yeah, just join us over there, should you so choose.
Cool. Forte?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Logic, awesome. Glad to have you come on the show today. Always great to have you here. For myself, Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation. Check us out next week. DPS right here again next week, and enjoy the games that you're playing, guys. And we really appreciate you as always coming through every week and supporting us.
Yeah. For myself, I'm gonna get back into finishing up some of these videos that I was in the progress in the production stages of getting done on my personal channel. The surgery and the recovery on that kind of like sidelined some things that I was working on, but I'm going to get those finished. And this weekend I'm going to start my streamed playthrough of the entire Dragon Age series in anticipation of Dragon Age of Elgar coming out October 31st. So come through. I'll be starting with Dragon Age Origins, and it's gonna be a good time. So I think we're done. Let's get out of here, man. All right, you guys enjoy your night, enjoy your games. Don't let grifters and fanboys kill your enjoyment.
And don't let Mel Kiper can get you to think that the cover 2 needs to disappear out of NFL football.
What?
You ain't hear about that?
No, I didn't. But we can.
We might want to get off
we
the
can
show and talk about
we can talk about that later. All right, you guys take care. Enjoy your night. Peace.
Yeah, bro. Mel Kiper came out